Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a horror movie every week and talk about it. I'm Bob.
And I'm Ben.
Welcome back to the show. First episode of season, I guess we were calling seasons now.
It's season 2, yeah.
Season 2, technically.
Which is, we named it.
We did name it. So this is a cool thing we're doing. I like naming these things. It's fun.
Do you need me to remind you the season name?
Yeah, you should tell us the season name.
Right, so Board 2, season 2.
Yeah.
They Live Inside, which is inspired by the fact that two of our categories involve what's deep inside of you, what really matters.
What's really important. Oh, God. Okay. You might see some switch-ups in the show now that we're doing season 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it. I'm putting intro music at the start of the episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Motherfucker, you're never going to hear it till I put it on there.
You don't. I can bring my speaker and we can intro music.
That's going to sound like shit. So, how has your 2023 been, Ben? We're recording this in the new year.
I mean, it's fine.
Did you do anything cool for New Year's? I did something okay.
Not really.
No, nothing. Didn't you say you were maybe going to a party or like hanging out with a friend or something?
Yeah, I didn't actually end up doing that.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty
chill. Same. I didn't really do much. Me and Jesse and Trent and Evan all played the new Dark Anthology game, The Devil Within, or The Devil in Me, I think is what it's called. It's okay.
How was it?
It's okay. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it because it's still fairly new and people might not have played it. It was fine. It was not my favorite game that they put out, but it was.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. It was fun because of the people and playing it with my friends. That was the fun part.
No, it's a cool series. What I have found though is they tend to be glitchy when they first come out.
Yeah, buggy, like really bad. Like,
and was
God.
This one bad like that?
The opening was like atrocious. Like,
damn.
It looked rough. Like we kept making fun of one of the main characters' like faces because the mocap is just. I mean, it looks like something straight out of like Smile. Like he's just like has the biggest grin on his face the whole time.
So
I haven't seen
you're
it.
just like spitballing there.
Yeah, well, I've seen the trailer and it's smiling people, and he looked like that, like a comically large smile the entire time, and his mouth would just open like a little bit.
Without spoiling anything, did you at least like the characters and premise?
The premise was fine.
Okay.
The characters were okay.
Okay. Not great.
No.
Did you just didn't like them?
They were just not interesting. Not interesting and not likable, honestly. They
Fair
all
enough.
sucked. They were all assholes.
Did you beat the whole thing?
We beat the whole game.
Okay.
It's like a 7-hour game, and we beat the whole thing in one go.
I mean, if anyone hasn't played it, they're a nice little horror anthology series.
They're fun. I really like them.
They're releasing, I think it's 10 in total, and it's one every year.
Yeah. And I don't know what Devil in Me was.
It's 4 or 5. I own all of them. Haven't played all of them.
I've played all of them.
But if you want, you can always go play the first one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Until Dawn is free on PlayStation.
Until Dawn? Is it?
Well, that's the
Until Dawn?
first style of game that they made like this.
Oh, no, but I'm talking about the first.
Man of Medan's the very first one.
Man of Medan's the first one.
Man of Medan's fine. I liked it. It was fun.
It's fine. It's a good intro, and it's usually
It's fairly
goes
short
on
compared to
sale.
the other ones, too.
Well, I was going to say it goes on sale on Steam a lot. So
that too.
It's a nice pickup.
If you want to get together with friends and have a spooky time, it's fun.
I will say, Bob's like, yeah, you can play it with a bunch of friends because you can do hot seat for it and you switch controllers. The best way to play it, though, is with one friend.
Oh, yeah, just pass it back
100%.
and forth.
No, you both have a copy of the game, and I think when you buy it, you get a free copy that they can use to do so.
Oh, that's cool.
But the game is intended as a 2-player game, and you basically Steam join the same game together.
Mm-hmm.
You both control characters separately at the same time.
Oh, that sounds
and the characters
wild.
switch out. I've played both versions for Man of Medan, and the hot seat version it's so much worse.
Really?
Yeah, because with the 2-player version, I can't see what the other character's doing and all the different choices they get.
Oh, yeah.
So like when characters are separated, I don't know what's happening.
Interesting. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. What's the other one? So it's Man of Medan, Little Hope.
Little Hope, The Devil in Me,
There was one after that I can't remember The Quarry.
The Quarry.
And then there was another one, House of Ashes.
The Quarry wasn't a part of it.
The Quarry wasn't. It was like Until Dawn. So it's
I know,
the
but
same
it's not a
style
part
of game from the same company, but not part of the series.
Dark Anthology series.
Yeah,
so we're not going to mention it.
Yeah.
So ignore the fact that Bob just said
It was fun though. It was good. My favorite one that they did was House of Ashes.
People like The Quarry, some people don't. So
House of Ashes was by far the coolest and best one.
all right. Well,
A little rant for the start of the episode.
I guess
Before we start.
So is there anything new with this season of Beware the Board?
Anything else new besides I'm trying to
I think we're just kind of, one of the things for us, I think we've been talking about kind of off the record, is the fact that I think we're getting better at the show.
Well, yeah.
So a part of that is, with this season, there will probably be changes as we're figuring out how to do better things.
Fair.
Like, Bob's figuring out editing better, so he's now adding music, and I'm sure he'll add more stuff like that throughout the season.
Yeah. I have a couple of funny ideas I'm working on in my noggin.
We talked about like how I do notes and stuff, so there'll be more of that.
And I mean, we've already made some changes from the start of the show, like changing.
Yeah. So I guess expect more of that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, expect a lot of change as we get better at what we're doing, and also as we learn how to do different things. And also expect a lot more episodes, if that makes sense.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because we have so many ideas for funny episodes.
Speaking of which, I counted episodes the other day.
Yeah.
So we've only done, technically like 10 board spaces.
Yeah.
But
9 board spaces.
Well, yeah, 9 board spaces and a wrap up.
Yeah.
But we sat down and we counted the episodes the other day, and it's like 19.
19. And there should only be 10. We've recorded 9 extra episodes.
Because some of the board spaces have extras.
Extras, and then also extra, like, holiday episodes.
And episode 0.
Yep.
So, at this rate, we're going to have a lot on this season because we're more comfortable with putting them out.
Yeah, also, like, the episodes are getting longer because we're learning how to actually discuss the movies and not just be like, that was cool.
Our first 2-hour episode, which should not have been Night of the Demons.
Did not deserve that 2-hour episode.
It was shocking.
Very fun, though.
Yeah.
Anyhow, do we want to explain the board to people again since it's the start of the new season?
Do you want me you break down the concept and then I'll break down the categories.
Yeah, so if you haven't been listening, and if you're new to the show,
because
hi.
Season 2 is a good place to start.
Yeah, hi, welcome. Welcome to the show. If you haven't listened to our older episodes, please listen to them. Some of them are very, very funny.
Or don't. I mean, like we were saying, the quality goes up, so...
Yeah, the first episode, I will say, is rough.
This season's going to be a lot different than the early Season 1.
Yeah, it's already a lot different. To be honest.
Yeah, so, just a heads up. Good place to start.
The point of this show is for us to watch a horror movie. I am a scared little man who does not like horror movies very much. They terrify me. I'm changing my opinion on that. It's getting better.
Yeah, he's getting into it, which is kind of fun to listen to.
It's awesome. I'm enjoying it a lot.
He's still very afraid.
I'm still very afraid. And Ben is not. Ben is someone who, well, you can talk about yourself.
Yeah, so I really like horror films.
Oh,
but I think Bob's simplifying here. Bob doesn't watch movies.
That's also fair. I don't watch movies, ever.
He didn't grow up with that.
No.
I grew up with watching a lot of movies. Like, that's just what we did in my household a lot.
Yeah.
So, I grew up with classic movies, and then when I got older, I started watching horror movies and a lot of classic horror movies. So, I really like it because I think there's a lot of very good films that just happen to be horror films.
That's fair.
As well as a bunch of, like, really weird stuff that you don't see anywhere else.
It's true.
So... I think it's really cool, and I was like, hey, Bob, you want to watch these films? So here
basically,
we are.
I'm being held hostage to watch scary movies until one of them makes me stop.
Yeah.
I think we know which movie you think will make me quit the show. We both have a good inkling on that one.
I don't know if it'll make you quit, but there's a specific movie I tell Bob about a lot because I know what's going on here, and I'm going to say what it is. Cannibal Holocaust is going to be on this podcast at some point.
Yeah, when we get there. That's why I was telling people not to vote for cannibals last time.
Yeah, it's going on probably the cannibal section, and
as it should.
I have mixed feelings about that movie. I think it's very important from, like, a cinematic history perspective.
That's fair.
And also, like, horror history, and I think there's a lot of interesting stuff about it. I also watched the film for the first time, felt really dirty, had a stiff drink, and took a shower.
That does not bode well for me at all.
Heads up whenever that happens.
Whenever we fucking get to it.
But,
Jesus.
Yeah, so I really like horror movies, and I've seen a lot of them. Obviously, nowhere near all of them.
No.
But a good splattering of stuff. Bob has seen.
The movies we've watched on this show.
And basically no other movies ever.
I've seen some stuff.
Yeah, but it's
rare that it's rare that you mention a movie and I go, oh, I've seen that.
I talk to Bob about films sometimes that aren't horror movies, and I'll be like, yeah, have you seen this one? And it's a very normal movie to have seen. And he's like, no.
Sometimes I go, I've never even heard of that. And you're like, what in the fuck is wrong with you?
I think last part I got really mad at you for not having seen the original Superman.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because
it's not great, but it's just
yeah.
It's such a big deal. Like, there was like 3 or 4 of those
I didn't watch any of those movies, man. It was just, movies were not a thing in my house. It just wasn't a thing. No one in my house watched movies. Not my dad, not my mom. The only movies I watched when I was a kid was my dad showed me Star Wars because that was his thing. My dad loved Star Wars. I was like, because my dad grew up in the 70s, right? So it was a big deal for him when they announced the new trilogy and everything. So, I was like, when the prequels were coming out right after I was born. Good. Yeah. My dad was excited, so I watched those with him. And that's about it, honestly, in terms of movies. Like, I've seen, like, the popular Marvel stuff because who hasn't? It's just, it's easy to see that stuff. But, nah, I didn't watch a ton of movies as a kid.
I watched a shit ton.
I know, Ben. I've heard,
so many. It's just, like, that was family time a lot of the time. It's
Yeah,
just
no.
movies.
See, family time for me was TV because my dad and my mom watched certain shows, and when
Yeah.
I was old enough, it was like you can watch the show with us if you want. You don't have to.
Well, I guess back to the concept
Yeah.
to kind of introduce our perspectives here. This whole podcast, it kind of came about as a way for us to introduce movies to Bob every week,
Yeah, that's fair. That's the point.
with him having at least some minor control over it, and not just me being like, I'm going to pick this
I'm gonna make
movie,
you
this
watch
movie, this movie,
Cannibal
this
Holocaust this week.
movie.
It's
Because
like, won't.
we'd be like very stuck on certain genres for a minute and then change.
Oh yeah.
So this is kind of a more random way to do it. But how it works is we've chosen 3 categories, and we did that in the last episode, the wrap-up.
Yep.
I'll go over those in a second. But we chose 3 categories. Each category has 3 spaces, which I can put one movie or a couple movies in a franchise if it feels thematically relevant.
Mhm.
And Bob picks a space,
And
and then I tell him what's there.
then we watch it.
Yep.
And that's the podcast. Then we talk about it. The reason we do it this way is to avoid being stuck on watching. Because let's say we opened with Halloween as one of our categories. So
Yeah.
of course we watched the John Carpenter classic Halloween 1, 2, and 3 in one go. If we had been like, all right, let's watch Halloween, we would still be watching Halloween movies.
Oh.
Probably.
Well, no. If we did, we'd be done.
Yeah, but basically
it
the whole
would've
first
sucked.
season would have been just us watching Halloween,
Yeah.
which is fine, and I'm sure, and we're eventually going to finish it. We know when we're going to do that, too. We haven't really started working on it, but we're going to finish Halloween eventually. The reason we do our board this way is so that we don't get stuck on watching certain franchises, and so the content doesn't get stale.
Because, like, Bob really likes Halloween so far. He has nothing to judge other major slasher series
No.
off of yet, which will be really interesting to see when we watch, like, Friday
Actually-
the 13th, and he's like, I like that one a lot more.
I was talking to my dad, and my dad said his favorite's Texas Chainsaw.
I do like Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause I was like-
probably not the best, though.
Really? Because I was talking to him about,
I told you Cannibals. Cannibals would have been great.
yeah. But I was talking to him about, like, watching Halloween and stuff. He's like, oh, you guys need to watch Texas Chainsaw. Like, I love that movie.
I like Well, the first and the second Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
are so good.
Yeah, that's what my dad said.
But, yeah, so we're doing the board. I
Yep.
guess you want me to explain the categories?
You can. How about we explain each one of ours, the one that we chose?
Oh,
and then
well, yeah, just say
random.
the category. I have to explain my thought process for choosing movies.
Oh, yeah, okay. So our categories this time, we both contributed one, and then we had a poll up on
Yeah.
our Twitter, and if I knew you and you were watching the podcast, I sent you a link.
Yeah, and I think we're going to choose random movies differently next time, but we'll
yeah,
discuss
we'll
that
talk about that later. Because what you had is a good idea, and
Yeah.
I like it.
But the random movie that was selected, the category, I mean,
Yeah.
was,
Demonic possession.
I think it was just Possession.
Was it? Is it just possession? I'm almost positive
I don't know.
Ashley was explicit in demonic possession. Oh, I think when you asked me, I said possession of any kind is fine.
Yeah, I
Because-
think that's how we described it. But
We didn't want to get
Demonic
stuck on
possession.
demonic possession being like the expletive, like stopping you from picking a movie that you liked or something, you know? Just like
Fair enough.
the stipulation.
it's Possession. We'll just call it
Possession movies.
Demonic's implied.
Yeah, well, a lot of them probably are demonic possession movies.
Yeah, your category.
I chose. Oh, we didn't explain it, but we do have funny names for all the categories except for the random.
Yes,
My category is called Stay the Fuck Out of Me, and it's I want to watch Parasite movies.
Parasite movies.
Which is movies, I think we specified, a movie where something is growing inside of another person, or inside of a person, a host of some kind.
it was just a parasite, like a living physical parasite.
Yeah.
Which the possession one, the random thing was these people are demons, I believe,
I
after
think-
the Alex Jones quote.
Yeah.
And then mine, which is just horrifying pseudo documentaries,
Yeah.
which is,
We'll see.
not a funny title, but there's not really anything I can come up with that. But basically, it's after a certain style of movie.
Yeah.
I'll explain that in a second. But do you want me to go through and kind of explain?
Yeah,
my
you can
thought
talk about your
process
thought
for
process because
how I
I'm
chose
actually
movies?
interested in this because I peek behind the curtain. I don't help Ben choose movies at all.
No, I choose movies and then I pull up all the facts and everything for him and I write those down and it takes me forever. And as the squares on this board took me so much longer to write than
Yeah.
the squares on the last board, and I'm typing, so that should tell you something.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I guess we'll start with yours,
Yeah.
which is
Parasites.
Parasites. So my thought process for choosing movies, because I try to create a stencil of kind of
Mhm.
like what I expect to have in these movies
That makes sense.
to make them like thematically kind of the same. And like I said, I try to mix stuff up so we get a little bit different stuff. But my thought process with Parasites is I wanted to make sure we were watching movies that have a physically identifiable creature as a parasite. So
Oh God.
that was my qualifications when choosing. And again, I mix up kind of what that creature is, and so we have some different styles of parasites, different ranges of the spectrum, but they are all like identifiable. So that means I wasn't doing like, oh, it's a little amoeba in your brain. No, nah, you can be like, oh, it's that parasite. Like when you see the movie, you can identify it.
That might be so much worse for me.
So
God bless.
And then I guess next is possession. And I'm going to be honest, I forgot if Ashley said there was explicitly demonic possession. And I know we discussed that it could be anything that was possessed.
Yeah, because I think at one point you brought up, you said, are dolls okay? And I said, yeah, dolls being possessed is fine.
I just wanted to make sure, like, we were just talking about possessions in general.
Yeah.
Or explicitly demonic possessions. But as I was kind of thinking over what movies I wanted to choose, because this was a hard category for me to choose personally.
I'm surprised by that, honestly.
I don't watch possession movies.
Yeah, you said they weren't really your style of horror, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like demonic possession movies I don't watch. I see a lot of movies where like someone's getting possessed or something, because that's a dime a dozen.
Oh yeah.
Like literally, that's the bread and butter of horror, someone who isn't in control of themselves.
Yeah.
But as I was kind of like thinking over movies, I thought to keep like kind of with the spirit of the category, that I would stick with movies that focus on the idea of possession. It sounds a little bit weird, but essentially I wanted to focus on films that are explicitly showing a possession, and that's the focus of the film.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I thought that was kind of a better exploration of the idea of possession than just any movie where someone's possessed.
Yeah, I mean, because technically they're possessed.
Yeah, technically they're possessed, and that's fine. It's technically a possession movie, but I thought it would be more fitting if I chose films that explicitly explore possession as a concept of storytelling. So
that is terrifying to me.
It took me a surprisingly long time to find films.
Really?
Just because I kind of had to go through things, and did I go, all right, is this just featuring a possession, or is this kind of like a main aspect of the story? That took a while. And then also just, is this film good or is it not good?
We can watch not bad films. We've seen some not good films on this show already.
Yes, but like when I say good or bad on this show, I'm not necessarily referring to like its quality, because I enjoy bad movies.
Oh yeah,
like
I
poor
love
quality
bad
movies, like B movies, C movies. I don't think C movies is technically a concept, but B movies is.
Oh yeah.
That's actually from drive-thrus. You didn't know.
Oh yeah, we talked about that when we watched.
A movie is the first movie that plays, and then B movie is the second.
Oh man, when you watch Blood Rage, we talked about it. Because that movie opens at a drive-thru. We had that whole discussion during the show.
But I really like B movies and stuff. And
yeah, me too.
I don't personally. This is just me. I don't think any movie is like worthless because it's a movie.
No, I agree with you. I think
that's like any piece of media or
any media that anyone puts out is not worthless. It has a purpose and it should be respected.
Yeah, because they did it.
They made a movie. Exactly. That's my point.
But I do try to make sure the movies we pick are good to talk about.
Yeah.
Which means that they're either well done, there's deeper themes, they're enjoyable, and there's a lot of cheap possession movies. So even movies that just focus on the idea of possession, there's a lot of them. And finding some that were like I thought worthwhile of watching and talking about, but also some that were scary was kind of, I had to slog through stuff, especially because I wasn't familiar with it. But that's that category.
Yep.
And then the last one, which is horrifying pseudo documentaries. Not a very creative title, but that's mostly because the movies in here, and this is a fair warning to you, Bob, are not related by content.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
They're related by style. So I think I told Bob this, and I'm not sure if I mentioned on the podcast. I chose my category like 2 weeks into our first board.
Dude, do you want to tell them about the next board that we...
Oh, yeah. I've already chosen my category and what I'm suggesting for the random.
For next board.
And
we are recording the first episode.
Yeah, I told him this, I think the day after we recorded.
You just get so excited and you just do things.
Because it happens because I have to look through a bunch of movies.
Yeah, it's fair.
And also, like, I'm constantly consuming stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also constantly sending you trailers for movies and stuff.
Which I've seen most of them already when you send them
but
to
like
me.
I receive them.
I know, and I can usually tell you something about them. But, I'd chosen my category, technically, I guess a month or two in advance.
It was a while in advance.
It was
you were telling me how excited you were for it.
I was so excited. I'm super excited right now because it's a very hard category to fit movies in.
Yeah.
Like, to fill the 3 spaces, I think I got basically all the movies I could think of that fit this category as well as they do. Because the description for my category is movies that are done like they're a documentary. So technically they're found footage, and a lot of found footage movies are innately documentary style.
Yeah, just based on the way they have to do the camera
They're
work.
technically, for the most part, pseudo-documentaries. However, I wanted to go really heavy into that trope.
Yeah.
So they are pseudo-documentaries, like, portrayed like actual documentaries. So talking head interviews, stuff like that.
That's
And
what scares me, because
they have a lot of realism to them.
that's the part that terrifies me, is like, we've talked about on this show that I don't think people are that scary.
Yeah, I think that's because you haven't seen a good people movie, and the one you did see, you were kind of not conscious for.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't like things that are grounded in a lot of ways, because that adds to the fear for me.
See, and these are really grounded.
See, that's fucking scary,
The
Ben.
content's very different in each of them.
See,
but
that's exciting,
They're
because
very grounded.
it's almost like a mini grab bag within a grab bag.
Yep. And I think that'll be interesting to see as we go on the future boards if we end up choosing. Because, like, I can do categories like this where it's, like, style that ties them together. So it'll be interesting as you learn more stuff if you can do that as well.
I've had a couple thoughts.
But, yeah, I got 3 different spots for that. Very different movies, but they're all tied together with this very close adherence to this pseudo-documentary style.
Oh, God.
And they're very grounded.
I'm
I
excited.
think it'll be a lot of fun. It took me a while to find movies that I thought fit it well enough to actually matter. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay. Now what scares me
You have to choose.
is I have to choose one. And this is the first time in 9 weeks that I've had 9 spots to choose from.
I know.
And now I'm nervous. Because, like, before, at the end of the board, it was like, well, I'm not going to choose that. I don't want to watch that right now. I don't want to watch that. It was like, I had two choices, right?
It's not just that you have 9 choices. It's that you haven't dipped your toes into any of them. So
I'm scared.
I gave you, I think, more to expect than you've had so far.
Yeah,
But
for sure. Also, let me bring this
you
up.
have no frame of reference.
I have no frame of
essentially.
reference. For the last fucking... we haven't recorded an episode in, what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Hey, yeah.
Because we mass recorded before Christmas
Yeah,
and New Year's, because
but-
we needed to have a bunch of stuff done because we weren't going to be available to record.
We mass recorded it weird, and again, this is kind of behind the scenes stuff that I don't think we will normally talk about. But
no, but I'm mentioning it because
we mass recorded our board episodes, had those done so we could have them done just in case.
yeah,
And then we recorded the next week, and I think the week after with just holiday episodes.
yeah, because we had Christmas and New Year's to put out.
So, well, I don't think it's been that long since we've recorded an episode. It's been a real long time since we've recorded a board episode.
That's the thing. But the reason I bring this up is because for the last fucking month of my life, Benjamin has not stopped. Every 10 minutes at work, he'll be like, "Hey, what category are you picking? What category are you picking
I
for this
wanna
episode?"
know.
And they're like, "You should pick mine. You should pick
I
my
do
category."
want it to be mine.
Ben, you get your wish. I'm gonna
Yay!
I'm gonna pick your category.
I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so
but which
excited.
spot though? That's the thing that's scary, Ben.
I'm not even looking at my list right now.
I
so
know.
I don't remember which one's in which, so I can't even give you a hint.
I have no logic. You know
All
what?
right, dude, I don't put these in a logical order. I just kind of go, loop, that I thought about that one first. It's going in spot 1.
I know you don't, but it makes me feel better if I think you do.
Okay.
I don't have any logic this time. I can't explain myself.
All right.
But it's episode 2. Sorry. No, it's not.
It's
It's
board
episode
2.
1. Episode 1 of board 2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the first spot in your mockumentary category.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Before I look at what that is.
Yes. Yeah, that's
All right,
fine.
You sure you want to do space 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We are watching
Okay.
The Bay.
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Every time I get so excited when you read the movie title, because if I've heard of it, then it makes me excited. But the ones I've never heard of are the freakier ones, because I have nothing.
All right. You ready for the description?
Yeah.
Documents the events of an ecological disaster in a small Maryland town. You good?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this a bay on the ocean, like an ocean bay?
I mean,
Not like a bay in a lake?
Technically.
This is not a lake movie. This is an ocean movie.
Well, it's a bay. It's a very famous bay.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because I'm gonna put this out there. I don't know if I've talked about this. We have, I think. I don't like the ocean.
No, Bob doesn't.
It scares the piss
We
out
haven't
of
chose
me.
the ocean movies yet.
Yeah, because that one is for when I feel comfortable and safe, and then we throw that at me, and then I die. And that and Aliens. If we first of all, we haven't talked about it. I saw a spoiler for Signs. And Ben's like, that movie's not that scary.
It's not that scary.
That movie will probably scare the pants off of me. Anyway, we'll watch it. I'm cool with that. It sounds
He
interesting.
didn't even see a good spoiler for Signs. He just saw a clip of the scene where the alien runs across the door frame,
No, not the door frame. Like
the hallway or whatever.
No, in the background of like a TV shot.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway,
But yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's a bay. It's about
Yeah.
a bay.
Okay. An ecological bay movie.
I mean, I guess I can tell you right now what bay it is if you're okay with that.
That's fine.
It's Chesapeake. It's in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Obviously.
Yeah. The big one. The one
Yeah.
that everyone knows.
Mhm.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I got really scared because it was an ocean movie for a second.
It's not that bad.
I'm scared of crabs, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you
Are
that.
you afraid of crabs?
I
hope you mean the ones that live in the ocean.
I do. That's why I was about to say, if this movie's about giant crabs, I will fucking
Oh
cry.
my God. All right. Well, it's a 2012 film.
Oh, okay. So it's fairly new, but not
It's fairly new, but
not crazy.
2019
or anything.
It is an hour and 24 minutes long.
That's a little short, but
Actually, that's almost standard.
Well, everything else we've been watching is like an hour 36,
That's-
an hour 39.
Yeah,
It's a little shorter.
I
A
guess.
couple minutes.
but an hour and a half around that time. period
Yeah,
is
yeah, that's
standard.
pretty good.
It's rated R,
Thank God.
and review scores. So IMDb's is a
Mhm.
5.7 out of 10.
Not bad.
Tomato meter, which is the critic one on
Mhm.
Rotten Tomatoes, is 77%.
That's pretty good. I'm okay.
Audience score,
Oh God.
43%.
Oh, people hate this movie.
It has one award, one a nomination.
Okay.
One nomination. The award it won was the Fright Meter Award, and that was to Aaron Yanes for Best Editing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we never really see awards for stuff like that. Like we haven't talked about any.
We haven't talked about it a lot. I have included that now. On
That's
this
cool.
board.
I like that. Now I'm curious if the editing is gonna like stick out and look like insane.
Well, I mean, it had to be edited like a documentary, so it's
yeah, I guess that
well
makes
done
sense.
editing. Notable like kind of actors in this: Kristen Connolly as Stephanie. So you might be familiar with her as Donna in The Cabin in the Woods.
I haven't seen Cabin in the Woods,
I like
but
that movie.
you said we need to watch that because it's very good. Apparently.
And then Cather Donahue as Donna, and you might recognize her as Alice in Pitch Perfect.
I haven't seen Pitch Perfect.
Oh, wow. See, there we go.
There it is. Another movie I haven't seen.
So the director of this film is kind of famous.
Oh, okay.
It's Barry Levinson.
That name seems familiar, actually.
Yeah, so he, like one of his big films, Rain Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Rain Man, but I know about Rain Man.
But
I hope the mic didn't pick that up.
it didn't.
No, I think it might have, because
Oh.
I think I heard it on the headphones. That is fucking funny. After what I told you about Christmas. Oh my God. Motherfucker.
But Barry Levinson also produced and created the movie's story.
Oh, okay.
So kind of a fun thing. The writer of the screenplay though is Michael Wallach. So this is his first writer and producer credit.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I like when directors do other stuff in the film aside from directing.
I mean,
Because I think because they are the director and they're also doing these other things, they can do it as perfectly as they want for their vision, which is something really cool.
well, yeah, because I mean, we don't think about this a lot, but the director is, well, he's kind of in charge of the set. He is not top dog.
No.
He's kind of like the manager at the store, but not the guy who owns the store.
Yeah. I mean, working in plays, I know that.
Yeah.
I worked in theater for a long time,
And,
so I've dealt with many a director.
A lot of the time doing extra stuff just gives them more creative freedom. Like writing, obviously that gives them a good amount of creative freedom, especially if they're good at it.
Oh, yeah.
But the big one, though, is producing. Because you have to be successful because you have to have a lot of money. But when you're a producer, because you're providing most of the money,
You can do whatever you want.
you have so much more freedom. The budget for this film,
Okay.
$2 million.
It's okay. It's not crazy, but
Box
alright.
office,
yeah.
$1.58 million.
Oh, they lost money on this movie. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Also, I don't know if we've talked about this before. For a movie to be like considered like breaking even, you
Yeah.
have to make double your budget.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because like I say break even. Like you need money to have come in.
Yeah, I guess you would have to pay all your people and
Yeah.
then also still pay for everything you needed for the movie.
Also, I'm saying like box office, so I don't think that's taking out like everything.
Oh,
Because
maybe
some goes
not.
to like the movie theaters and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Man. I don't think we've had a movie that didn't at least make money on the show yet. I think every single other movie we watched either made money or was straight to streaming. So
Yeah.
therefore didn't have a box office or
That's the
something
thing.
like that.
Some of the films we're gonna watch are like straight to streaming or something like that. So
Yeah.
it affects how their box office is.
Mhm.
But country of origin, United States.
Okay.
I mean,
It's in set in Maryland.
it said Maryland.
I like that you include that now. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've been trying to get more research in, so
Yeah.
we're getting there, and I'm sure there will be more on the next board. But the film is also known as
Oh, it had a different name. Okay.
Zaliv in Russia. That's
Okay.
golf. It means like golf.
Okay.
Translation. I'm not gonna pronounce this right, but Terror in Gulf, which is the Romanian title.
Okay.
Which was Terror in the Gulf.
Terror in the Gulf. Yeah.
Which I thought that was just interesting because like in the like Eastern European states,
Yeah.
like the old Eastern Bloc,
They changed it from Bay to Gulf.
I guess those words are interchangeable
They
that-
basically mean the same thing
in
in
Slavic
my mind.
languages. So
Yeah,
I thought that
see
was
why not.
fun. I got the German DVD title because it was pretty different.
Oh, what's the German title?
The Bay. Nach Angst kommt Panik.
Night of the Panic.
No.
Or what is it?
It's
Night
the
the
bay
Panic?
after fear comes panic.
I knew it was Fear. Yeah, I got Fear Comes and Panic, but I couldn't figure out how they formatted it.
Yeah.
Been taking German
Bob
for fucking
takes
4
German,
years.
but he took a break, so.
Yeah, well, I did just pass German 3.
Oh.
I passed somehow. Frau likes me, I think.
And then the last title was the Brazilian title.
Oh, Brazil.
Which was Incident em Claridge, which is Incident at Claridge.
Is that probably the name of the town?
That's the name of the town,
Yeah.
Claridge.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so this is kind of a thing I haven't talked about before. I'm trying to get like some of the different names because I think that's kind of interesting to look at.
I also think that's cool.
So I've grabbed kind of the name in the other language, the foreign language,
Yeah.
and the translation.
Yeah,
and
because I
country.
mean, in Wreck, which is a Spanish film that we watched, the name in the English remake is called Quarantine. They don't keep the name.
That's the remake.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like,
That's because it's Wreck in English and it was famous enough. But
yeah,
the reason I did that is because some of the old films have titles that are different
yeah.
from kind of what everyone knows them by.
Mm-hmm.
But those titles that are used differently are in the States and stuff. Nowadays, the state titles, like the English titles, are usually all the same.
Yeah.
There's not really a different one, but there's weird translations in other countries, and I think that's kind of interesting.
I'm happy you included the German one. I was like, thank you.
Well, I look at this mega list. I can find like a mega list of titles and their translations.
Yeah.
And I can usually look at it and scan like the 30, 40 different names and be like, oh, that one looks very different.
That's cool.
But-
I want to.
Oh, go ahead.
No, keep going. I had a thought. I'll tell you later.
All right. Well, the tagline for the film.
That's what I want to talk about.
Oh,
I didn't know we were already there.
yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I was going to ask what the tagline was.
Oh.
Because I was excited.
For taglines too. I've
Yeah.
been trying to be I've been trying to screen the taglines and make
Yeah.
sure like they're actually the ones we can find on the posters.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I'll get a list of taglines and I'm
Oh,
like, I don't know if that was used or if it was used how frequently. You know?
Yeah, I was pulling screen or backgrounds for Terror Train, which is our newest movie that we watched, and I actually really like the what is it? Oh my god, am I dumb? What was I trying to say?
The boys and girls of Sigma Phi. Some will live and some will die.
What the tagline for? That's what I'm trying to think of. The
Yeah.
tagline. The tagline for Terror Train was awesome. I think it's super funny. I think it's great. I was pulling a poster and I found one that would just said the tagline was just all aboard, and I wanted to fucking scream.
Yeah, I tried to make sure I'm finding a good tagline to tell you, but I'm making sure it's the one that's usually visible on most of the posters.
Yeah. Also, Terror Train has some of the coolest fucking posters I've ever seen.
Oh, they're pretty well done for
And for the fact
for a
that
not
the
great
movie,
movie.
yeah,
But tagline for this one:
yeah, I'm excited. I like these. They're always fun.
Panic feeds on fear.
Oh God. The more you describe this film, the more I think it is going to be like a psychological thriller movie.
So, you want the facts for this fun movie? I don't have a lot. I only
Okay.
got 4.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm ready.
Levinson, the
Uh-huh.
director.
Yeah.
He's from Baltimore, Maryland,
Oh, that's cool.
which I think is super cool because that's where my family's from. But
Yeah. Well, yeah.
that's kind of right by where this movie's set.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's why I
I
wanna
enjoy.
mention it.
This is something I enjoy about most movies. But when the person that is directing or making them is from the place that they're filming,
Yeah.
it adds so much authenticity to the movie and to the way they shoot things and to the things they add. And that's why I like Blood Quantum so much, is because the person that made that movie grew up on the reservation they filmed it on,
Yeah.
which made it so much more intimate
Or
of a
at
film.
least a reservation inspired by the one it's set on.
Yeah, super super cool. I love when
So-
directors do that kind of thing.
It's kind of that. He's got a connection to
Yeah.
the area.
Super cool.
The film came about as a result of a documentary that Levinson was working on regarding the problems facing the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
So after abandoning the documentary due to learning that Frontline had already covered the issues that he was covering,
Oh, okay.
Levinson used his research to create this film as like another means to spread light on the topic because he just figured, people will go see an actual movie
Yeah.
more than they'll see a documentary.
And also, like, he's already put so much work and effort into these things. Why not use it for something
into
else?
his research and everything like that.
Why not use it for a different project?
I thought it was pretty mature, but also pretty smart.
Yeah, it's cool. It shows an ability to think on the fly, change decisions as you move, as you
Yeah.
work, which is really, I think, an important aspect of being in any job, really.
And I think what's also important to note is, like, obviously this movie didn't do great at the box office, but, like, it's on streaming and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, people.
people still watch it.
Yeah.
We're watching it.
Do you want to go ahead and mention? Do you know what this is streaming on, or are we have to buy it?
I bought it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I forget you started watching the movies before we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them I've already seen, so I didn't have to do that. But
Yeah.
for this category in particular, because I had to really screen stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I had to double check stuff, so I bought this one because I was pretty sure it fit.
Okay.
But the film, while set in Maryland, it is shot on location in North and South Carolina. So
Oh.
just a kind of fun
Okay.
fact.
Cool.
They look pretty similar. I don't know if you've ever been to North or South Carolina.
No, my dad did when he was, because his parents live out there, but.
That's where the shrimp boating scenes are shot in Forrest Gump.
Oh,
I went there.
Oh, okay,
Down
that's
by
cool.
Fripp Island.
Down by what now?
Fripp Island.
Fripp Island?
Fripp. I think it's in South Carolina.
It's a cool name for an island.
And the shrimp boat company in Forrest Gump is the gay fish company. I have a gay fish company hat.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You should wear it to work.
It's a nice shrimping company though.
Really?
Like I
That's
bought
cool.
it was like $4 a pound for shrimp.
Oh
was
my
super
God.
cheap. And it was all fresh caught that morning.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause
That's
it's-
awesome.
Fripp Island's like a vacation place. So you
Like
can-
a tourist spot, kind of.
sort of. There's a bunch of houses on the island, and that's all there is.
Mhm.
So you can rent a house or buy a house there.
That's really cool,
really
actually.
nice. But the shrimping place is like a 10-minute drive away.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
cool.
because it's all marsh there. Anyways, South Carolina.
South Carolina. That's cool.
So the original script for the film by Wallach, the writer,
Yeah.
was originally more of a short story that tied together the like footage as like a couple just watching it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So kind of more of a standard found footage format.
yeah. Okay.
But the style was eventually changed to like more documentary, like pseudo documentary like after Levinson basically got the script back. He liked it, but he was like, can we do this? Because he had finished watching a documentary and he was like, I kind of want it to be more real.
That makes sense.
So-
That's really cool.
That's all I got.
Okay.
I want to say this
Yeah.
pre-recording because we didn't bring it up
Mhm.
and I need to stress no relation to the movie we're watching right now.
Oh.
But Bob, you should probably we agreed that you were going to have a vomit bucket on you at all times.
Yeah, I know. I'll get it.
Just a heads up for anyone listening.
Yeah,
We're adding to our set. Bob's getting a fancy vomit bucket.
I have to get a bucket to vomit in because I've come close a couple times and Ben's afraid I'm gonna puke on him.
It's not that I'm afraid you're going to puke on me. I'm like, if you vomit, it's going to take so much longer to clean it out of the carpeted floor than it will to dump the bucket.
Yeah, and also we'd have to pause the movie and clean it
Yeah.
up and like it's a whole thing.
I'm not saying anything about this movie. I'm just like,
In general,
I'm saying that 'cause
considering one of our categories is probably gonna be fucking foul and
Parasites?
disgusting. Yeah,
yeah. So,
and demons probably won't be great either.
you know, just a kind of a heads up to the audience members that we're changing things on set, and Bob's hopefully never gonna vomit on me, so
Hopefully.
he'll get a bucket.
Listen, man, I'm surprised I didn't puke during the episode where I was drunk. I'm sober now.
Actually, you were fine. You were just afraid. The one I thought you were gonna puke on, last board. If anyone's interested in going to hear it, because I think he puts the gags in the movie, I didn't expect it because it's basically a rubber chicken, but itsy bitsy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because there's
Well,
the scene where it bursts out of its little hibernation cocoon, and it's all legs first, and Bob didn't like it.
the spider movies fuck me up in terms of gagging because I think they're gross. Honestly, the grossest movie we might have fucking watched might have been Night of the Demons 2 with all the flesh puddle shit and like weird, gross. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, Blood Quantum was gross, but it wasn't gross in a gross way. It was gross in a sick way.
That movie was cool.
That movie's
Not the greatest
awesome.
movie ever, but
Ugh.
it's cool.
I can't get enough. It's so bad that I almost bought Shudder just to watch Blood Quantum again.
You can just buy Blood Quantum.
Yeah.
The DVD, they sell a DVD version of it that says uncut. So
Yeah, I might watch the uncut
it makes
version.
me wonder if the version on Shudder is cut just so it was shorter, and so
Yeah.
we were missing a bunch of scenes.
I don't think so, man.
Because there was parts that seemed choppy.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Maybe.
But I guess we're going to go watch the movie.
Yeah, we'll be back.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
What's
up? On Mike about the movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to show you the cover before the movie.
Oh, okay.
I'll show it to you after the movie.
That's an interesting change in pace.
Because I know what the cover looks like, and I'm like, that kind of spoils things.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
That
so-
sucks. I'm glad that you know what? I'm glad that you're watching these movies ahead of time. At first, it kind of made me upset because I like the experience of us going into a movie together and us both never ever seen it. I can't speak. Both having never seen it, experiencing it at the same time and getting the same, like, reveal in our thoughts.
Yeah.
But now you can kind of save me from getting things spoiled.
Oh, yeah. And to be honest, some of these movies I've seen vaguely a long time ago, or parts of them.
Yeah.
And if I think I don't have to rewatch it, I might not,
Mhm.
just for time constraints.
Yeah.
But, like, if I feel like I need to watch it for content purposes, I'll watch it beforehand.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'm sure we'll throw a movie on the board that I haven't seen, and I'm like, I could watch that with Bob for the first time. But
Well, especially if it's something that you know is like really good and that people really like, and you're like, this is probably fine.
Yeah.
We can just watch it together. And we did do that a couple of times on the last board, and it worked out.
yeah,
So, you know.
just doesn't let me do as much prep.
Yeah.
But
all right.
we're going to go watch The Bay.
Yeah, we're going to
So,
go watch
hopefully
The
it'll be
Bay.
fine.
We will be right back. Bye.
So, what do you think, Bob?
I didn't even say hi. I haven't even said hello to everyone. And
Oh.
you're already fucking.
Yeah. Hey, we're back from the movie.
Yeah, we watched it, man.
If you couldn't tell, I don't think Bob liked it. Well, liked is a hard word. Bob, what do you think?
I don't even want to talk about it.
You don't?
I genuinely that one broke me, man. That one really fucked me up.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I know you saw me in the moment.
Yeah.
That movie is.
It was interesting. He went silent. He didn't even scream. He just started hyperventilating for I think the last 40 minutes of the movie.
So like Ben's category says, this is shot like a documentary.
Yeah.
And it looks very much like a real documentary.
No, before you say anything, I don't want you to say anything about what's in this movie yet. We'll do the spoiler section first, but no spoilers.
So the fact that it's shot like that,
Yeah.
and that it's paced like that, and then it's set up like that, fucks me up.
Did you like that whole realism aspect that's added?
No. Not to say I didn't like it.
Like, did you think it was a good addition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It made
enjoy
the movie better. Made my enjoyment of the movie go way down because holy shit. Not that it was a bad movie. It's quite good.
It's pretty decent, actually, surprisingly.
And it's just the content of the movie itself is what fucked me up. And that is all I will say. Because not to spoil anything, the start of the movie, you kind of think you know what's going on.
Yes.
And then it really turns it on its head, and then it really freaked me out.
This movie is done really well in that it slowly reveals what's happening, and it slowly builds you up to what's happening.
Yep.
So that at different points in time, if you don't know a lot about the movie, you think different things. Now,
Yeah.
I am saying that the cover kind of spoils stuff.
I'm assuming it has...
And before we get into spoilers, I'm going to pull up the cover just so Bob can see it.
Yeah, because I assume I know what's on the cover now. And if I had seen that, it totally would have spoiled the movie for me.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you
So-
didn't show me.
If you don't know anything about the movie yet,
There's the Terror Train cover.
because you might not know anything about the movie, because I really avoided saying anything. Do you think I did a good job of avoiding saying anything?
No,
when
yeah,
I gave
yeah.
the
You got...
description?
Yeah, it was good.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought you were gonna be like, no, I can't handle this just from the name alone.
Really?
It's called The Bay.
I mean, that did scare me. I will say that. That was a scary aspect of it because I know I don't like water films.
Bob
The
has a
Babadook.
fear of the ocean.
I've seen The Babadook.
Yeah.
Good movie.
See that?
Yeah. See, that would have ruined the movie for me. 'Cause
See?
I would have known exactly what was going on.
So
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, and I would recommend going in blind.
Yes, I agree. Big agree.
But the issue is, if you try to look up this film, the cover
Is
kind of spoilery.
super spoilery. And honestly, I wish that the cover just said the Bay on it and just had a picture of the Chesapeake Bay or something.
Yeah.
Because that is the least spoilery thing you could do.
So somehow figure out a way you can watch this without looking at a cover. I don't know how to do it. But
Yeah, I don't either. But
I will say this is the least pseudo-documentary like out
Fair.
of the ones I picked.
this felt more like found footage, less documentary.
Yes, but what makes this one closer to a documentary than pure found footage is there's a person who, after the event, is giving essentially a talking head interview,
Yeah.
and her thoughts are put over a lot of the footage.
A lot of the footage that she or someone else captured of the
Yeah.
events.
So she basically acts like a narrator, which
Yeah,
is
mostly.
very uncommon in film, and so that's why I put it in this category.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically narrating but being guided by questions.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I mean, I don't know. What you think about that style? This is not like the best example of it, but like you kind of got a little taste.
I like it, honestly. I think it allows the movie to tackle tackle tough subjects and not feel like it's pandering, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it very much I will say a lot of
think
the
that's a
actors
good
in this movie
description.
are very good, and you can tell that the acting feels real, at least, of the interviews and of the people and of the events. Everything feels...
I don't know
Well-
if that's because of good acting or if it's because of bad acting, you know?
What I'm saying is everything that happens, I'm not going, oh, that happened because of plot point X.
Yeah.
I'm going, that happened because it makes sense for that to have happened to these people in this situation.
Things naturally unfold.
Yes, that's what I'm getting to.
Right. I mean, do you have anything else to add before we get to the spoiler section?
Spoilers?
Of this?
I don't think so, man. I can't talk about this film without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Because, there's a certain aspect of this film that I was not okay with.
Yes. So
And it was not fun.
I guess we're going to go to spoilers.
Yeah.
And like always, if you haven't seen the film at this point, go watch it. This film especially, I will say, having seen this film already,
Yeah.
watching it, having seen it already or knowing what happens, doesn't ruin your experience.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
And I'll talk about that in a second. It does, however, change it.
I
And
see.
that change isn't necessarily bad. It's just a different viewing experience.
Okay.
So I would recommend going in not knowing what happens.
Yes,
So
I also
if you
agree.
can right now, go watch it. before we spoil anything or before you get any spoilers like from cover art or anything.
Yeah, if there's a trailer for this movie, do not watch it.
Watch it. It gives away some stuff, but not as much as you think. I watched
I mean,
it.
I'm just saying, like, based on the trailer, bro, based on the photo alone, like the cover.
Yeah, the photo really spoils it. The trailer does some spoiling. I've watched the trailer just to
Yeah.
make sure. But yeah, go watch it now. Try to see as little as you can. If you can watch it without looking at a cover, do that if you're interested. Because it's a really cool experience to watch everything unfold. Because like a documentary, it slowly gives you more information.
Yeah, you get hints throughout the movie, and then I mean, I jumped to a lot of conclusions that
You
it
did.
just flipped on its head later, and I was like, well, fuck.
It reminds me of like one of those Netflix documentaries. You know?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll get into it now. So, final warning.
Whew.
All right. Bob.
Yep.
Give it to me. What do you think?
I don't understand why the audience score is so low.
Really?
But, actually, that I just lied to you because I was going to explain why I think it's so
I
low.
was gonna say.
Well, okay, how about this? For me, I wouldn't have put it that low as a viewer.
Mhm.
I liked it a lot more than the audience score gives it credit
Yes,
for.
I'll agree with that.
And I think I know why people don't like it. It's slow.
Yeah. So the reason I think people don't like it is this is a non-standard horror movie.
It's not.
Like-
It's not. I wouldn't. It's horror for me.
Yeah, it's a lot more horrifying for you than most audiences because, surprise, surprise, it's a scary ocean movie, kind of.
Kind of.
There's
yeah.
stuff from the water that is scary.
There's stuff from the water that is scary,
And
and
that
that is the part that freaked
That's
me
a
out
fear
lot.
for Bob.
A big one,
Now,
a
for
real
me,
big one.
It's not scary in that sense. For me, this movie was unsettling.
That too. This movie unsettled me to my core.
Yeah, and I think that's part of this. Me and Bob have kind of a similar taste in horror, and unsettling works for us.
Ugh.
I'm sure there was more fear in there for Bob than there was for me, but I enjoy a good unsettling horror movie.
This movie gave me the heebus-jeebus.
However, good unsettling horror movies do not sell well, like
Yeah.
traditionally in theaters, especially in 2012.
Yeah. Like, I get why people wouldn't find the reason that this movie is so scary to me is because this is a genuine fear that I have. The things that happen in this movie, I have had nightmares about, Benjamin. Like, I'm not even fucking with you. I am so scared of something like what happened in this movie happening to me in real life. And this is why I don't swim in the ocean. Dead ass. I'm not even fucking with you. That's why I won't do it.
The ocean's fine. Like, this is not an actual concern. But I do think it's very interesting.
I don't care.
I believe you about the having dreams about it because I don't know if you'll be able to find it. But things start to reveal themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think you might actually need the trash can in this movie. And you were like, yeah, I won't need it unless things start crawling out of people's skin and stuff. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that happened eventually.
I'm telling you right now, if something we only see something. I don't want to get into it because we haven't really started talking about the movie yet. But
We gave our spoiler warning.
we gave the spoiler warning.
So, you want to mention it?
No, I'll wait.
Really?
We can talk. We'll get to it.
We're going to unfold
because
it?
we're gonna get to it in a minute.
All right. So the setup, right? So I believe it's called a framing story, if you're familiar with that term.
No, I'm not.
Basically, it's the story that is kind of built. It's the framework for everything else.
Sure.
So
okay.
in an anthology series, the framing story would kind of be like the story that's going on, and then during that story, you cut away to little anthologies.
Okay,
clips.
yeah, makes sense.
And so the framing story in this one is the talking head interview with
Yeah.
this woman. And do you remember her name?
Donna,
Donna?
Yep.
Yeah. So Donna, she used to be like
a reporter.
a reporting intern. She was
Yeah.
a communications major. And she participated in the 4th of July celebration as a reporter she was an intern.
Yeah.
And she was given like this kind of small crappy assignment to go to this small town and look at their 4th of July festival.
Yeah, and just basically interview the mayor, interview different people,
Get some
talk to them.
B-roll about a parade. Like if you ever watch the local news, it's that,
Yeah.
5-minute clip that they have during festivities.
It's like when you're in a town and you have to cover something because it's like a big town event or whatever.
Not even that. It's like when you just need to cover something to fill like time.
Yeah, I guess.
But, that's what she's doing. But that's what she did in 2009. And I think this is
2012.
I think it is set in 2012.
It's set in 2012, and the events of the movie take place in 2009.
And so this framing that happens is she's on a Skype call with some unknown person.
Yeah, we don't actually ever learn who she's interviewing with.
Because she is trying to set up essentially this documentary that gives away all this footage she recorded and all the events that around the environmental disaster that happened at Claridge because the government has essentially covered it up.
Yeah, she says that basically after the Claridge events, the government came in and took all their footage and was like, you cannot show this to anyone. You have to sign, I think at the end of the movie, she explains that she doesn't know how much money exchanged hands.
The people in the town signed like NDAs and
The people in the town town got paid a bunch of money by the government to not talk about it.
But, she's trying to get the information out there because
Yeah.
I think part of this is because she used to be a reporter. We learned that she kind of gave up on that career path after this.
Which is fair.
I kinda
Honestly,
get.
yeah.
But she's just kind of like, she doesn't feel like settled about the events
No.
until she gets to, I guess, talk about it, which is a normal trauma thing.
Yeah,
That's
and-
a psychological kind of
Yeah.
response. But she's essentially teamed up with this website, like govleaks.org.
I think that's where she says that everything got leaked, was to a website called govleaks.org.
Basically, from what I can understand, they were able to recover most of this.
Yeah, most of the footage
and are
that we
planning
saw.
to leak it. And
Yeah.
she's working with them as like kind of the tie together for it all to
Mhm.
comment on it. That's why we don't see who she's on the other side with.
Yeah.
Is because they're not doing totally legal stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the setup. So throughout the movie, a lot of the footage we're just watching.
Yeah.
It happen, and it's cut together. But throughout, it'll kind of cut back to her talking head interviews, which are over grainy Skype.
Yeah.
Or we'll just hear her talking kind of throughout
Yeah.
the footage.
She'll just voice over a lot of what's happening.
Which is, how'd you like that? I liked it. She kind of adds
Yeah.
extra information that you wouldn't get normally.
That's what I was about to say is like, I think it's cool because in the moment we can see what is happening, but having her be able to come over and explain exactly what's going on is kind of cool, especially when like a lot of this is shot in documentary style. So a lot of it is like long panning shots of the town.
Because it's just essentially B-roll they've compiled.
I mean, it's just a bunch of B-roll. So it's like shots of the parade, shots of the town, shots of stuff happening. It's just her talking over it. It's super, super nice. It's just really nice to be given information over shots that you don't really need to be paying attention to.
I think it's more interesting because so the film shot, like, these are a bunch of cobbled together clips that were never supposed to air.
Oh yeah, that too.
So her sharing information makes them more interesting because they're showing them because there's information that they accidentally captured in a lot of these shots.
Yeah.
And as the audience, we don't know them until she points them out to us. So I
Yeah.
think there's a really good example of this early on. And you really noticed it and didn't like it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But
I don't remember. But
basically,
maybe.
the first footage we see is just her actual B-roll for like her segment, and it's just of the festivities and stuff like that. And it's the movie really first starts opening up when everything's normal, and she's just talking about like what she was doing that day. Everything's kind of happy. The colors are pretty bright. If you kind of looked at the color palette, everything's kind of well lit and everything because it's daytime. She's like, she makes some jokes like, why didn't anyone tell me my pants were too tight?
Yeah, it's very lighthearted at the beginning.
It's very lighthearted. And, she's making commentary over it a lot. This is probably when she makes the most commentary over it. And everything's pretty lighthearted. And then at one point, she's panning over some people and she's like, oh, this is so-and-so. And these are a family that did a lot of community stuff. And then she's just like, they both died in the travesty. Them and all their family.
No, she says they lost their entire family.
Oh, yeah.
To that day, which is like, it's such a juxtaposition to what we've been seeing from everything else in the film so far.
And that's what I think the commentary does really well, is it adds information that you wouldn't pick up otherwise.
That you wouldn't know. Like, you have no way of knowing about these people, what their lives are. You can guess, but it's very difficult,
And there's other stuff like that, like she's showing like her crappy interview footage with the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
And she's talking about it, and then she's like, I mean, he was nice, but then she's like, well, later I learned he was very culpable for all this.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
But yeah, so basically the film opens up on pretty normal footage, and it's kind of establishing what this town's like on a normal day.
Yeah.
And then we cut to these oceanographers.
Yeah, so there we follow...
But we very specifically cut to them being dead.
Oh, yeah, so that's the first big thing.
As we learned right away that these guys are dead.
Yeah.
And that they got pulled out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what happens. It looks like shark bites.
A lot of people are assuming shark bites, but they even say in the movie, like, shark bites are super rare in the bay.
Yeah.
Like, bull sharks are considered aggressive, but other than that, like, shark bites are not very common.
Especially because it's brackish water.
Yeah.
But it's very early on point out that these people are pulled out of the water. I think it's like 3 weeks before July 4th, which is when this takes place.
Yeah.
So there's kind of this suggestion that what we're about to learn whenever we focus on the oceanographers is things that were sent out to people, like the mayor, already.
Basically stuff that should have already been known.
So from this point on throughout the movie, we're seeing some of the footage they took, which is their like logs as they're covering kind of the pollution in the bay and what's wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, and from this point on, the footage is kind of organized interestingly because it's not chronological footage.
No, because
over time we are shown like chronologically the events of the day of July 4th.
Yes.
But as we go on, we get various B-roll that's relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But everything's kind of organized in a way that we slowly have a reveal of information. So
we jump around between a lot of different people.
We jump around between a lot of different footage, a lot of different people.
A lot of different cameras.
A lot of different time periods because
Yeah.
things are happening at different times.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the best way for us to describe this film, because I don't think we can.
It's really hard to go scene by scene because a
Yeah.
lot of the scenes are super short and it's just information. Like
Yeah.
it's just like a clip of something like a documentary would
Or
be.
like I said, it's just B-roll that is
Yeah.
interesting in context, but it's hard to talk about. So I think the important thing to know is kind of the reveal of information. So I think that's what I'm going to describe here. If
Sure.
you're okay with that.
Let's can we start with
I was going to start with the pollution.
that's fine, sure.
So
That works.
kind of we see the town, and then the first reveal we get is the stuff about the chicken plant.
Yeah, that's the big
I
one.
think we get that before the oceanographers.
Oh yeah, we
But
do
there's
because there's a whole setup for during 4th of July where the mayor, John Stockton, is giving a speech and someone starts yelling at him.
That's actually before, I think. July
yeah.
4th.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
is that before?
Oh, also, that was, I think his name's Jerry.
Yeah.
That's the same man she was interviewing about the...
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. I caught that.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Because it shows her reusing extras.
Which makes sense if the town's that small.
I mean, 6,200 people.
Yeah.
But the first thing we learned is about the pollution, which is a real thing. That's, again, what this is inspired by. It's the
Yeah, I
pollution
mean,
in
I
Chesapeake.
assume that's what the director was working on before,
But
he made this movie.
basically, the town of Claridge has a big chicken industry.
Yeah.
And they're basically taking all the chicken excrement, which is filled with steroids and all the other types of stuff, and dumping it in Chesapeake Bay.
In the bay.
Which is a big problem.
Yeah.
Because they say throughout the film from the oceanographers that the amount of pollutants that they create, just this one town,
Yeah.
is more than all the pollution runoff from when it rains. Because if you don't know anything about water runoff and stuff, or
Yeah.
farm runoff, basically when it rains, the water will pick up like manure and stuff like that.
Pesticides, whatever you spray on your
Pesticides
plants.
from the farms. It'll drain into like rivers and stuff and then go into the ocean. And that causes like algal blooms and stuff like that, which aren't good, but it's somewhat controllable.
Yeah.
But the oceanographers are like, no, this one town is creating more pollution constantly
Yeah.
than just like a huge rainstorm would create over hours and over 100 of miles. So that's horrifying.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, more importantly than that is the fact that this town is drinking the water.
Yeah.
They have a desalinization plant.
Yep.
And they're taking all the water
From the bay.
from the bay, and they're taking the salt water out of it, or the salt out of the water.
Yep.
So it's fresh water.
So it's drinkable.
And ideally, this was designed for the chickens.
Yeah, and it is used on the chickens. They
It's
show
not
that.
really meant for drinking.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of reveal that the town's drinking it, and the
Yep.
mayor is pretty much like, yeah, the water's fine.
Yeah. I mean, he even drinks a glass of water up on stage in front of everyone. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
look, cleanest water I've ever seen. Tastes great.
And so that's kind of like the first thing that's unfolded.
Yeah.
And then there's the next reveal, which is
I was going to go to the dunk tank.
What about the dunk tank?
Did you not catch that?
What?
The first person that we see that is affected by whatever's going on.
Are you sure that was the woman in the dunk tank?
Yes, it was.
I thought it was just another
it was
fat lady.
I explicitly paid attention and was like, that lady just got because
Okay.
let me be real. We know the whatever's going on is coming from the water.
Yes,
This
we do.
movie is so heavy on the water motifs. Every fucking chance it gets, it throws water.
Yeah, so I'll mention that at the end.
Yeah.
Because, again, it was part of watching it again.
Yeah.
So,
I caught it instantly.
apparently, we see the lady when she gets in the water.
Yeah, so there's a lady, so throughout the whole thing, it's showing B-roll of like the festivities and stuff.
Yeah, which
and it
involve
shows
a lot of
dunk
water
tank
and stuff.
because they're on the bay. So a lady gets in the dunk tank and like someone throws a baseball and dunks her in the water. She gets out and everything is fine for
Yeah.
about 10 minutes.
I don't know, it's probably longer than that.
it's yeah.
But the first reveal of something's wrong is this lady's walking down the street, and she's very far away, so we
Yeah.
can't see it first. She's just screaming, "Help me!"
And you can see everyone around her running away
Yeah.
because they don't want to. It would be weird if some lady was just walking around during a 4th of July parade screaming, "Help me!"
No, if she looks like she did, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would
I
be
would
like,
run away.
you are
Because
scary.
she gets closer to whatever person's filming.
I think it's the camera crew.
I don't think so.
I don't know who it is, but it's somebody.
It's someone else. It's just a random person. Because
Yeah.
the camera crew's at the crab eating contest.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that one's bad too.
But she's walking forward, and she gets close to the camera, and you see her skin's all red, and she's got like boils and stuff
Everywhere.
all over her body.
It's
her face, her neck, her back.
scary.
And kind of this is the open reveal that lots of people are starting to show up with
Yeah.
lesions and boils, mostly blisters, like all over their body.
Mhm.
And I think it's like the next 10, 20 minutes is basically showing the fact that there's a lot of people starting to
There
show
are
up
a
like
lot.
this.
A lot.
Like a lot. And this is the first time we go to the hospital.
Yep.
And we meet, oh my God, what's his
Jack
name? Jack Abrams.
Yep.
Who I just want to mention is such a good portrayal of a doctor character.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's very,
There's-
very good.
There's so many parallels I always think of between the COVID doctors, especially the first one, the Chinese one,
Oh, yeah.
who, because you learn right away, he treated people, He treated, I think they say 360 cases,
Oh my god.
350 in like 12 hours
Holy
before
shit.
the town cleared out and he died. Like they tell you straight up, he died. So this is kind of like the last footage of him. But he's such a good doctor
Yeah.
because slight spoiler, he stays the whole time. Like he
Yeah.
sends the rest of his staff away.
I mean, I'll spoil this now. The CDC tells him to get the fuck out.
Yeah, and he's like, you and your the CDC tells him you and your staff need to leave,
Need to leave
Which
before
is-
you get infected.
which is understandable. That's what the CDC's job is.
Yeah.
If they're like, hey, you can't save these people, it's you are uninfected, you need to leave.
Yep.
And he goes, well, I sent my staff home 20 minutes ago. I sent him to leave.
And then he says, I have people in pain here.
But I have people in pain here.
Yeah.
And I can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
I won't leave. And that's such a good
Yeah.
thing. But I just wanted to mention that.
Oh,
But
yeah, for sure.
this starts basically, we see Jack a lot talking to the CDC.
Yeah.
And this kind of starts the whole extra footage, which is government footage that they have.
Which is cool. I liked this part.
Which is CDC primarily.
Yeah.
And there's eventually a couple other organizations.
EPA.
EPA.
They talk about the
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
There's another one.
There is another one. I can't
I
remember.
don't know.
FEMA.
FEMA.
That's what it was.
That's what it is. And we see a couple of different Skype calls with them.
Yeah.
But the CDC is the one we see a lot because Jack is basically constantly on the phone with them.
Yeah, he opens up with it and is like, hey, I have a case of, it looks like a bacterial infection. I have 30 cases.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Can you guys, like, send somebody over here to check this out?
or just talk me through it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have 30 cases right now. And so this is kind of like the start of the reveal that a lot of people are getting infected.
Quickly. A lot of people
Quickly.
fast.
Because he's like, they started this morning, and I think it's like 10 a.m. at
Yeah,
that point.
and what's funny is he talking to the CDC guy, and he's like, we have 30 we have, people with with lesions, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, you have one case. And he goes, no, we have 30.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, 30?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
I will say, this film does a good job of portraying, like, the doctors and the CDC.
Yeah, it's very good.
Especially the CDC workers who learn things, and they give very
Very real
realistic
responses, yeah.
reactions. Like, like Bob said, the guy's he pauses when he hears 30, and he's like, 30? But he tries to be
sure?
professional, and he's like, okay. Yeah.
And also, I think this is a great view into bureaucracy.
Yeah, there's a great view into bureaucracy because as we learn, a lot of the information about this event was kind of had beforehand because we know the oceanographers died and like their camera footage was recovered and they got like an autopsy report.
Yeah.
But it got passed around for 16 days.
There's so much red tape.
Before the CDC got it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Eventually they call, I think, the EFA guy.
Yeah, the EPA calls them and says, hey, we found those oceanographers. Here's the report on their body. Like, and then the dude on the phone's like, are you just not getting this to us? We've been dealing with this for like 12 hours. And they're like, what? We didn't know that.
But
it's super fucking ridiculous.
It's a good show of it.
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway here is we see a lot of infected people in the hospital.
Oh, it gets bad fast.
And we see like kind of Abrams' interviews with them.
Oh, yeah. Which is
he's
cool.
He's taking footage so he has like a record of like their symptoms and stuff. But their symptoms are just like a rash, right?
Yeah, it looks like some sort of
bacterial infection.
bacterial infection, which is what everyone is treating it as at the moment.
Yeah. And then we have our next review, which is at the crab eating contest.
Oh, okay. We're here.
Yeah.
I didn't know how far we were going to go.
And we see a guy who looks sick and he starts to vomit.
Yeah. So
And then other people start to vomit.
a lot of people at the crab eating contest start throwing up everywhere.
And I think from here, it cuts to the first dead body they find.
Yep.
We see these two cops are driving along the street and they see a dead body.
Yeah. And
That's Jim and Paul.
Jim and Paul. So
Who I like.
I was going to say this at the start, but I forgot. We get the perspective of a lot of different people in this town. There's Donna and the cameraman.
Yeah.
The mayor.
Yep. Who
Who we follow a little bit. He's around a bit.
The sheriff, Lee,
The sheriff, who is, yeah. And then we also follow Jim and Paul, the two cops.
Abrams.
But then the last group we follow is a family of Alex, Stephanie, and then their child, their baby.
Yeah.
The
Who are
baby.
sailing into town from 7 hours away.
Sailing into town Saturday because Stephanie's parents live in Claridge, and she's going to visit them for 4th of July.
Yeah.
But those are the people we follow throughout this film. So this is the first time we meet Paul and Jim, the two sheriffs.
They're deputies.
Deputies, sorry.
But they find the first body, and
Yep.
it's just kind of on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really see it
No,
because all they have is a dash cam.
Yeah. That's what's cool, I think, is this movie does not force itself to be a movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It only uses cameras that make sense for them to be there to capture the footage,
So-
which is super interesting to me.
Which I think is cool because
It is very cool.
I think I talked on our wrap up for the last season about found footage a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it is a cool genre that can be very good.
Yeah.
But it can also be very bad. And a lot of trap that people fall into when they're making found footage films is they feel the need to make an actual movie,
Yeah.
but just on like shittier cameras. And sometimes they explain it away, and I get that. But this one works with the fact that
Yeah.
this isn't an actual movie.
This
like,
is
they're
just-
restricted by the footage they would have had.
Which is super fucking cool.
So instead of being like, oh, they had body cams, they're like, no, they don't have body cams.
All you get is the dash cam.
All you get
from
is the
cops.
dash cam whenever you see them. And they don't have mics either. So, like,
No.
the
When
dash
they-
cam has a microphone, but sometimes they just have to crank
When they
up
leave
the
the
gain.
car, like, you can't hear what they're saying.
Yep, except over the radio.
Yeah. And
Like,
you can even hear over the radio people talking while they're not in the car,
Yeah.
which is so interesting.
But they find the first body, and then after that, we start to see the true, I think, next symptom, which is we hear a 911 call.
Yeah.
We see the footage because the person was filming it at the same
Oh,
time.
God.
This woman walking down the street, there's blood dripping from her mouth, and she starts vomiting blood.
Everywhere.
Which I assume is probably what the people at the crab eating contest were doing, too.
Oh, yeah,
We don't see
probably.
any blood, but
No, we see a lot of vomit, though.
yeah. So there's now a new symptom of not only is there lesions and boils,
You puke blood.
but you puke blood. And we then cut to basically the cops coming.
Yeah.
And when the cops get there, they think it's
A
a
murder.
murder because we don't see anything.
Nope.
But we hear them mention that she looks mutilated.
Her tongue is missing is the big
Her
one.
tongue is missing, and also like her chest is ripped open.
Yeah. So they're thinking that it's some sort of, they mention it, let's look for the husband. Do we
Yeah.
think it's some kind of domestic violence thing? Do we think like we don't know what's going on, so we're going to look for a killer?
And so this is kind of also the first reveal for us that it isn't just like a skin infection or something.
Yeah, it's not just like a bacterial infection.
I actually want to ask you, Bob, what did you think was happening at this point?
So
'Cause I didn't know.
At this point, I knew from the start of the movie because of how heavy it was with the water thing.
Yeah, it was obviously the water.
Obviously, the water. My thought was, okay, what could be in the water? I know there are flesh-eating amoebas in water. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it could be some kind of flesh-eating bacteria. That's a common thing that happens.
Or algae. You know, algae causes like a lot of irritation like that. Too.
Yeah. And at that point, my mind had not even considered what it actually was. But
Yeah.
that was, at this point in the movie, that's where my mind was. And that's why I was like, at this point in the movie, I'm watching, I'm going, okay, this is going to be a fairly gross movie, but it will not be that scary of a movie.
Yes, and right around this point, it might have been right before we see her vomiting blood. It could have been right after. We cut to the oceanographers, and they show a fish, the inside of a fish.
I think it was after.
It was either right before or right after.
I think it was after.
And they have like one of those little bendy cameras.
Like
you
what
might-
they would use in like a colonoscopy or something, when they would stick it up your butt.
But
and
it's a lot
look
smaller.
around side. Yeah.
And they go inside the fish's throat, and you see a bunch of little like
Little
worms.
worms.
Like they say larvae. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think this might have happened right before she started vomiting blood.
It might have been.
It's
before,
kind
I
of
don't
like an
remember.
explanation of
Yeah.
what happened. Because
Maybe I don't remember.
So the implication is like she has worms. You know.
Yeah.
Would you have been fine with worms, Bob?
No.
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 Worms aren't that bad though.
No.
But compared to what you got,
Depend on what the worms look like and how.
they kind of just look like. To me, they kind of look like leeches, tiny leeches.
Yeah, that was kind of what I got from them, which
But-
was fine.
I don't think that's as bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the reveal to us that it's a parasite.
It's some kind of parasite.
But from this point on, the symptoms are
They escalate quickly.
so the next really footage from the crime scene stuff is they find another body.
Oh yeah.
And this one, we get to see it for a second when they're cutting off the dead body and the tarp falls off of it. And it's a woman with her like stomach bursted open.
Yeah.
But then her like jaw's missing. It's not just her tongue. It's like her lower jaw. And I mean, that shows that something's happening.
Yeah. God, dude.
But I mean, that's kind of all we see for most of the movie is like we see the skin lesions and stuff and the
Yep.
boils, and we might see a couple corpses that are bursted open.
Yep.
But we really don't see what is doing it. We
No.
kind of just implied that it's
It's-
worms.
The first time we see is like a one-shot footage.
yes,
On a
that
boat.
Very scared Bob.
Oh, it scared the fuck out of me.
Because we see it once, and then later in the movie we see the scene that scared Bob, and it scared him again.
Yeah, because I don't fuck with it,
Yeah.
man. I don't
Basically,
like it.
Right after we see this dead body for the first time, I think we cut to a fishing boat that's like 6 miles away.
Yeah, it's like
It's
it
pretty
says.
far.
Yeah, I think it's something like 6 miles.
So I think it's mostly out of the area of infection,
Oh yeah,
which is interesting. But
Yeah.
this guy's just pulled in a fish, and he's
they're
taking
holding
it,
it,
off the
taking
hook,
pictures. Yeah.
and his thumb's kind of in its mouth like you do when you're holding a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "What is that?" And you don't see it. And then Bob, do you want to describe it because you didn't like it?
I don't know how to describe it.
Basically, a thing crawls out of the fish's mouth,
Yeah.
crawls up onto like the fleshy bit of his thumb, bites him,
And then he starts like freaking out.
freaking out, flailing his hand. It falls onto the deck
And then climbs
crawls
back in the
off
water.
out of the water. So,
I don't know how you would describe it.
well, I think this is where this is kind of the reveal that that's probably what this is.
Yeah.
It's kind of big. It's about the size of like
I don't know, probably
a
like that
thumb.
long.
So I'd say it's about 3-4 inches long,
Yeah, like that long. I don't
probably
know.
about the thick, like an inch thick,
Yeah, it's not very thick.
and it's an isopod,
Basically a little crab.
a sea louse.
A basic, yeah, not
So-
a crab, but they look like a roly-poly.
Yeah, so if you can just look up sea louses, and it's later revealed in the film that it's very specifically the tongue-eating sea louse.
Yeah, that one, I knew those existed before we watched this movie, by the
Yeah.
way. And they fuck me up. They're fucking freaky looking.
So this movie's kind of unrealistic, and
Yeah.
I think we talk about that now. Like those sea lice would not. They just eat tongues. Like,
Yeah.
that's just their thing. They eat a fish's tongue and they replace it.
And then they eat the food that the fish brings in.
Yes. I think they might suck blood too. But yeah, basically they just replace the tongue. They don't do what the ones in this film would do, which is
Yeah.
basically eat things from the
Eat
inside.
your entire insides.
or when they're fully grown, attack things in swimming swarms.
Yeah.
I doubt they swim that well.
They're
probably
fast.
mostly a bottom
Yeah.
dwelling thing.
Ooh.
But yeah, normally isopods don't grow that big.
Yeah, they're fucking huge.
They usually, I mean, obviously this isn't too big in the grand scheme of things, but normally they aren't that big. There is some big ones. They
Yeah.
show a picture of one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Those are the very deep sea dwelling ones,
Yeah, they go, yeah, we found this guy. I think they said he was like 2 meters long or
trying to
something.
bury into a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not super realistic. Basically, I don't think that's a real event that happened. It is a real picture of an isopod, I think.
Yeah.
But there's some really big ones that get that big. They live on the bottom of like the Mariana Trench and stuff.
Yeah.
Very deep sea organisms. They're kind of like bottom feeders and stuff. So not really a necessarily dangerous creature like they are in this movie. But that's kind of the reveal. Like that's our threat.
Yeah.
Although the people don't learn that until like the end.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on until like the end of the movie.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff from this point is just kind of the town slowly falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, and I guess we'll probably cover a lot of the big stuff. A lot of it is just Donna and the cameraman walking around, looking at stuff.
Or just other people.
Yeah, there's this really, really sad... I skipped over the people that the movie talks about because there's this really sad, not moment, just part of the movie, where throughout the movie it cuts to this 15-year-old girl.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
It's so sad. Who is covered in lesions, by the way.
She's covered in lesions. She's one of the first people who gets them.
Yeah.
But she's just like, she's calling her friend.
Yeah, on FaceTime. And
Because
that's something they talk about.
She's just like, I don't know where my parents went. They left without telling me anything.
Yeah.
I assume they were also sick.
Infected and probably died.
And she's like, I'm scared. I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
So I'm calling my friend.
So it just cuts to FaceTime footage of her talking to her friend.
And you know she's going to die.
You know she's going to die. And it's so just
And we
like
follow
heartbreaking.
her kind of throughout the movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sad stuff in this film.
Yeah.
Because you just see random people infected.
Yeah.
Like some children.
I mean,
you know?
it's like actually
Kind of depressing.
It's depressing, man. It's such a. It's not that it's like the movie does not lean into the sadness.
No, it's a very kind
It's
of
a very
analytical,
real,
kind of drawn away take from it.
Yeah.
Especially because Donna has kind of dealt with this over 3 years, so she's
Yeah.
not very emotional about it.
No.
Although you can tell kind of it's
Still
hard
messes
for her.
with her.
But yeah, it's slowly kind of breaking down the big events that happen in the town as people
Yeah.
start to succumb to the infection. Because
Mhm.
while we don't get to see it until the very end, we only see that one time.
Oh
And
yeah.
we'll talk about that later. But basically what's happening is the boils are basically an autoimmune response.
Yeah.
Like if you have an allergy to food, if you eat something, you can get essentially like blisters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what's happening to these people is they have a parasite, their body's giving an autoimmune response, and they're blistering everywhere.
Yeah.
And what's happening is these parasites are growing to their full-blown state from like larva.
Way too fast.
Yeah, I think they say 8 hours.
And
Basically.
it normally takes like.
Oh, it takes so much longer than that. That's like an unrealistic kind of time.
Yeah.
But basically what's happening is these parasites are growing to their fully grown state. While they're larvae, they're eating like the internal organs, mostly like the intestinal tract.
Yep.
Because the implication is a lot of people are drinking the water that has larvae in it. 'Cause
Yeah.
they don't get filtered out.
Because
They're
it's
really
going through
tiny.
a desalinization plant.
And a desalinization plant is not a filtration plant.
Nope.
Those aren't the same thing. But, you know, the larvae are coming. They're eating the organs, which causes a lot of internal pain.
And then also vomiting because your
And
body
vomiting.
doesn't know what to do with all
so
the
some of them get
acid
into
in your
the,
body.
the throat and the tongue area.
Yeah.
And they just kind of eat their way out and kind of burst out.
And then,
Yeah.
God.
But I assume they then die on land. Cause
Probably they're not sea.
They're not.
They're not.
They're sea creatures.
But they're not near the water.
So I assume they just have gills. So they might be able to survive on land for a little bit, like fish.
Yeah.
But I
And then
assume
just-
they then just drown, you know? In the air.
Probably.
So that's kind of good, right?
Yeah, I guess, man.
But yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot to describe from this point on, except
No.
for stuff happens, and it's not good. Like, we basically start to see all the characters we had listed slowly die.
Slowly get infected and die, or
And
run
also-
from infected people and die.
The CDC figuring out what's happening. Certain
Yeah.
characters figuring out what happens.
It's very much, I don't want to say this in a bad way, it's very much a nothing movie,
Yeah, like,
but it's,
what happens is very simple.
yes.
And it's not like a shocking thing. The film is solely how it reveals the information that you already know.
Yeah.
Like
It's-
a documentary.
It's well written. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I get why people don't like it per se.
I get why people don't like it, but I enjoyed the movie. I'm never going to watch it again. Never.
Yeah. I also know why critics didn't like it. 'Cause
Oh.
It only has a 77%.
I mean, that's pretty good, though.
It's
still.
pretty decent, but like a lot of people's fears with it is kind of like too over the top for the ecological stuff, which I get. It's kind of like fear mongering in a way.
I mean, I guess,
But that's, I think, more because it's a horror movie mixed with an ecological movie.
yeah, but also it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it at all.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just the fallout
Yeah.
and kind of everyone's response, CDC.
And honestly,
everything.
the worst part is every single time, like, this is gonna sound bad. Donna is very, you said it, detached from the situation at this point, and it's looking at it from very,
Not detached, but she's kind of worked through her issues with it.
I guess, yeah, but she just doesn't like.
She's tired.
She's tired of it. At one point, we see her cameraman drink some water, and she goes.
He washes off his face.
He washes off his face. He's just like stressed, and he washes his face off and goes, "He died that night."
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit.
And you can tell it fucked with her a lot.
Yeah.
Because we see Donna drinking water in other scenes.
And she
I mean,
doesn't.
The film ends on a very good closing note.
Oh
of
yeah.
Some people were fine, and
Others weren't.
we don't know why they weren't infected.
Yeah.
Because she like drinks some water, she washes her face.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if there's much else I want to talk about. There's kind of events of how characters die.
I want to talk about the last scene. Well, not the last scene. What happens right before the end of the movie, if
Which
that
one
makes
is it?
sense.
Because I don't want to talk about everything. I just want to leave it out there for if people want to see it.
The Alex thing. Because that, like, actually, like, that fucked me up.
Yeah, so I think we can talk about that one.
I think that's the last thing we should talk about.
That's the only kill I want to talk about. Cause
Same. The rest of them are whatever. Not that they're whatever. They're just,
they're less.
I don't want to spoil what happens.
They're less kills and more events of how it happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, God.
I'll mention it. I think the moment of the two deputies,
Yeah.
their whole story, I think that's a very good story.
Oh, it's good. That might be my favorite subplot we watched.
Because it's so sad.
Oh, it's tragic.
Just-
It's
the
like
first
actually
thing-
horrific.
The first thing you learn about these two guys, best friends.
They're best friends.
Like, the one is the best man at the other's wedding.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into a lot of that. Yeah, we can talk about the ending scene. So basically, the family we've kind of been following the whole time.
Finally lands.
Yeah, they've basically been on the boat the whole time.
Yeah.
Not in the water,
well-
except for one scene when Alex, the husband, gets pushed in by
Yeah.
the wife, Stephanie.
And
who,
he swims around in the water for a bit.
I imagine she feels real bad after.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, but they get to the town, and it's kind of this good reveal because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah, they don't
The
know because
government-
they've been on a boat.
They've been on a boat, but the government
Shut
tore
down the cell towers.
The cell towers. We hear the mayor mention that.
Yeah.
So calls weren't getting out,
Mm-hmm.
and they get there, and there's no one. There's supposed to be fireworks and everything.
Yep.
There's nothing.
And they're all, both of them are like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
They get most of the way through the dock because they parked their boat,
yeah.
and they find a dead body.
And the whole time Stephanie's like, don't fucking touch that. Call the cops. Call the cops. And Alex is like, I don't need phone service. I can't call anybody.
Yeah, but he's also trying to look at. He's a dentist, so
Yeah.
type of doctor.
He
So-
has some medical expertise.
Well, it's more than that. I think it's kind of that idea of someone who has that background when they see someone like I think injured.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
kind of this auto response of let me check if they're all right.
Well, yeah.
And Stephanie's like, don't touch them because there's blood on them.
I mean, and she's right.
Yeah. They start walking through the town. It's a ghost town.
There are dead bodies all over the street.
It's a good show of like how bad things got.
Oh, yeah.
because there's people in Main Street that very clearly walked out there for help.
and got left.
This is where we see the sad death of Miss Crustacean, which
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
we haven't mentioned it. That's probably going to be the name of the episode.
That's probably the name of the episode. Yeah,
Which,
it was very
because
funny.
Miss Crustacean, we see her in the B-roll at the beginning.
Yeah.
She won the parade, the beauty contest for the festival, and she says, "What is it?
I think it's every girl
Dream in America to be Miss
Miss
Crustacean."
Crustacean.
Yeah,
super funny because it's super like that's real.
yeah.
That's
Small
very
town
funny.
like beauty pageant stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and you can tell Donna does not give a fuck. It's so funny.
but yeah, we can just see people who got sick and came to Main Street hoping for help.
Yeah, and
then
I'm just even Donna I think comes over with the voiceover and says you can like these people came out hoping for EMS.
And they just died there.
Died dead. Nothing was done.
No one came because the hospital was overloaded.
Yeah, they
The
weren't letting
police
anyone
died.
out.
Yeah.
Like the bridge was shut down. We see that at one point in the movie.
They say
There's
it
like
was shut down for 3 days.
There was standstill traffic on the bridge and no one got out.
But, they go into this, like, small antique store, and they're calling, I think it's a friend or a brother or
Yeah, I
something.
think they call him Bill.
And everything's fine, and the guy thinks they're joking with him.
Yeah, the dude's like, oh, you guys are fucking with me, whatever.
Which I get it.
And they're both like, no, we're not messing with you. There are dead bodies everywhere around here.
And we see Alex pacing in the background, and Bill's like, dude, Alex, are you okay?
Yeah.
And Alex is like, yeah, I'm just stressed out. And Bill's like, no, your neck. Is everything
Which I had
okay?
not noticed, like,
Yeah,
at all.
Bob didn't notice. It is there while he's pacing around. There's boils on his neck because we see when he was thrown into the water that he swallowed some water.
He says, I got some water in my mouth. And his wife goes, how does that taste? And he's like, it doesn't taste great.
Yeah, but yeah. And basically, we cut back to some scenes at the hospital with Abrams, and I'm not going to talk about those because those are... I don't think I can do them justice because there's some hard scenes there.
Yeah, man.
But it cuts back to them, and we start to see that, Alex is in a lot of pain.
A lot.
So bad, he hands his wife a poking iron.
Yeah, from like a
And
fireplace.
he's like, I can't do it.
I can't do it. Like, I need you to kill me.
He doesn't say it explicitly,
But
it's
it's heavily implied.
And
He starts puking.
He starts puking blood.
Yep.
And then there's this focus on his neck. And Bob, I think you can see something moving. Did you see it?
Uh-huh.
Bob thought something was going to burst out his neck, but then he pukes blood. And Bob's like, oh,
Relief.
it's fine. And then it cuts back to him. And it focuses on one of the isopods just crawling out of his neck.
Just like pushing itself through his skin. And then I don't know how they did these effects for these creatures, by the way. I don't know what the fuck they were using for those.
They're CG.
That's CG?
Yeah.
That looked crazy.
It's well done because it's small,
Yeah.
And it's also on top of the lesions and stuff are
prosthetic,
practical.
yeah.
So
And I will say, we
it's that
see
nice combination.
a lot of corpses that have chunks taken out of them or bites. All of it looks good.
Yeah, all the chunks and stuff missing out of corpses, that's all
Practical.
prosthetics. So it's
And it looks
practical.
fucking cool.
But yeah, we see this isopod come out of
Burst out of his neck.
which very interestingly is the only time we see an isopod burst out of a living human.
Yes.
We
That is
see-
the only time.
After this, we see some of the wrap-up clips of the town, like the mutilation there.
Yeah.
And we do see a couple isopods crawl out of dead people.
We see that quite a bit.
But this is the only time in the film we see an isopod crawl out of a live person, even though we've heard it at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's so interesting, but also a good decision that they waited
Yeah.
for Alex.
Yep.
Because you kind of have this attachment to this family. We've watched them throughout the whole movie. They have
Yeah.
a baby, and the fact that they
I kept thinking in my head, if they do something to this baby, I'll McFucking lose it.
they don't do anything to that baby. They kill a lot of kids.
Oh, yeah.
We don't see them. They're all off screen.
Yep.
But yeah, it crawls out of his neck, and Bob lost it. I think after we realize it's isopods, from that point on, you're like heavily breathing into the mic most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even scream at a lot of
No,
stuff.
it fucked
you were
me
just,
up.
Like, rubbing your hands into your eyes and hyperventilating and going quiet. But
Cowering in fear.
I mean, that's kind of it. And then it just kind of wraps up with like the closing of the whole framing story of, Stephanie didn't want to be on the story.
Yeah.
Other people didn't want to. Like, the town got a payoff, but I'm doing this. And it's just the close.
Yeah.
But
I think they mentioned 700 plus people died.
So when we get to the point where Alex has died,
Yeah.
I think it's an hour before that because they give you timestamps throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Donna mentions that at this point in time, 700 people had died.
Yeah.
That is at that point. I'm not sure how many people died in total.
Total.
It doesn't
A
tell us.
lot of people died, though.
However, we do know that the town is 6,200 people.
Yeah.
It is a essentially Baytown. So
Yeah.
if you got in the water, if you were drinking water, you probably got infected. So
Yeah, and if you didn't, you were lucky.
I'm sure it's not half the town or anything, but I'm sure it's more than 700 people.
Oh, for sure,
Because we know 360 of those people, or 350, were at the hospital.
Yeah.
So, I know most of the people who died did not get to the hospital.
Oh, probably not.
So that's just, but I don't know. That's the Bay.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about anything else because honestly, I don't.
It's not one of those movies where a lot happens. It's just, it takes a small concept and it spreads it over an hour and 26 minutes. It does a good job of it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
for sure.
the film does a good job of being the length it needs to be and not longer.
Yeah,
Which is good.
that's fair.
A lot of the movies struggle with that.
I was going to bitch about how slow the beginning was.
Yeah, but it's a good setup for the beginning.
It is. It's slow in a way that is acceptable. It's not slow and boring. It's just slow,
No.
but it knows what it's doing and it knows how it wants to get there.
Well, because it's slow, exactly like how a documentary would be telling these events.
Yes, exactly.
And that works.
Exactly. It's paced perfectly.
Now, I was going to mention this before
Yeah.
we kind of do our wrap up,
Mhm.
but watching this, having seen it before,
Yeah.
is kind of interesting
Yeah, you mentioned that.
because you know what's going to happen ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
So all that B-roll at the beginning when everything's nice and positive looks different.
Oh,
because,
really?
as you said, there's a heavy focus on water imagery.
Oh, yeah.
And so
It's all over the front part of this movie.
knowing that like that's where the infection is, that's where everything is like hiding beneath the surface.
Yep.
You watch all the water stuff and it's very sad and unpleasant because there's a lot of focus on families and children in pools and stuff like that.
Yup.
And I just wanted to mention that.
I
Like,
caught that from the start of the movie.
Yep.
That got me from the beginning.
You catch it from the beginning of the movie. However, watching it the second time and knowing
Yeah.
the end results is very different.
Ben,
It's
I
like,
went
oh.
into this movie with the thought of exactly what happened.
Oh, you know going into the movie exactly what happens. It's just watching it a second time, it's because you know it's more obvious in your mind.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just wanted to mention that. Like, you could enjoy this film and know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the
That's
slow
fair.
reveal is nice in a different way.
It very much lends itself to being a movie that you watch once and then
Maybe twice
maybe once or twice and then
with someone
don't,
else.
don't
but,
watch it
you
again.
know.
Not in a bad way. I just
Not in a
think
bad
that
way.
the movie is set up in such a way that watching it once or twice is probably the best. There's no reason to go back and watch it another time
Yeah,
after that.
There's not a lot there story-wise, right?
No, but it's not.
But it's done well.
It's done
so it's enjoyable.
quite well.
But the second time's a little bit less, and I assume after a couple times it would get boring. Like, it didn't hit me the same way.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really unsettling this time for me as it was the first time. I guess, who would you recommend this for?
If you want ocean movie, I don't. So here's my thing. I wouldn't call this a horror movie.
Yeah. I mean, I would, but, like,
Okay.
it's not
It's
super
not-
scary.
Super. Well, okay. It freaked me out,
I
but
know.
I don't think it would. I don't think it is necessarily a
Like,
scary.
scary. It's unsettling.
There it is. It's not scary. It's unsettling. I think if you want a scientific approach of a horror movie, because a lot of this is sort of, it's very sciencey, but not in a
Yeah.
sci-fi way, in a real way.
So, kind of my recommendation for this one would
This one's
be
hard to talk about.
is
in
if
a
you're
sense.
into something that focuses on, like, an environmental problem,
Yeah, if you want an eco
but in
horror
a
movie,
fictional way.
Yeah,
so
you could do that.
I think that's probably the biggest recommendation. If you want to
Yeah.
see like an eco horror movie, or maybe just kind of a more interesting found footage movie, those would be my
Yeah.
suggestions.
those are good.
It is, however, not like jump scare
No,
scary.
it's not very jump scare scary
if
at all.
you're maybe afraid of parasites or the ocean, it might be good.
That is something that.
But even
messed me
then,
up.
you have to be into that more eerie, kind of slow style of horror.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think this is good for a general audience at all, which I
No.
think is why it ranks so low.
But if you're into that kind of style, or if you're
Yeah.
kind of more appreciative of like those different themes of like eco
Mm-hmm.
environmental stuff, or just like suspense, or maybe even
I would. That's what I was gonna
pseudo-documentaries.
say. Is I wouldn't call this a scary movie. I would call this a suspenseful thriller movie.
Yeah, but it's still a horror movie. 'Cause
It is
that's
still a horror
the
movie.
horror category. But
And I think if it didn't show so much gore and blood, it wouldn't fall into horror.
yeah, which I think is kind of interesting that in universe, right?
Yeah.
They would have had a lot of footage of people dying and being bloody.
Oh
And
yeah.
So I think there's this interesting idea of in universe. They chose not to show it because it's a documentary.
Well, some of it that they show is like,
But
oh my god.
They purposely try not to be super egregious with it. It's mostly just dead bodies. It's not like people dying horribly, which I think is
Yeah.
is an interesting kind of in universe thing.
So here's what I like about it personally.
It would have taken away from the documentary style. I guess.
That,
Yeah.
true. But also, seeing the beginning and the outcome, but not the middle, leaves a lot to the mind to make
Oh
up.
yeah, and I think
And which is not fun for my brain.
that's one of those interesting things about horror, and it's something you might hear other places, but your mind knows what scares it better than anyone else could ever.
Oh, yeah.
So in horror, the things that are most horrifying are the things that aren't shown,
Yep.
that are implied.
That is what messed me up in
There's
this
one
film.
really good film that does that, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but
Sure.
this film does a good job of that because it, for the most part, doesn't show what happens when these things
Nope.
burst out of you.
It shows you the beginning and the after effects, and that is it.
Yeah, we did our recommendation.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say on that?
No, this one's hard for me to talk about because it is pants-shittingly scary
For
because
you.
it is a real fear that I have.
Yeah,
So it's hard for me to be objective about it.
but also there's not a lot
No.
there.
Mm-mm.
Do you kind of get the why critics reviewed it that way? And
Yeah.
audience.
Like, I
definitely.
understand why. I will say I liked it.
Yeah, it's not some like underrated masterpiece, but
No.
it's decent. I think it's better than 44%.
For sure. I just think that a lot of people at least were expecting something different when they went in, and they didn't get what they wanted, and that's on them.
And I think this is a good transition into what would you rate it? So out of 5, give me your overall rating, and then we'll break it down.
4.
4?
Yep.
Okay. Why?
I think
what parts gave it that rating?
I think I like the style it's shot in. I enjoy that.
What would you rate that documentary style? You like it?
I like it. Yeah,
like it.
I enjoy it. I think
It's not a good example of it, I think.
Really?
Out of the movie, I was kind of iffy with you starting with this one out of my categories because I think this one did the style the worst.
really
Yes.
interesting.
So, just kind of a fun thing.
But I'm giving it a 4 because while I think the story itself and the plot in and of itself is not that interesting, I think the way they shot it and the way they presented it and the format was awesome. And I liked the effects. I liked the acting. I liked the writing too, because everything felt mostly like this is just these people in this situation. This is how they would react. There's no MacGuffin. There's no bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I think the only thing for me keeping it from being a 5 out of 5 is I understand why some people don't like it. Like I get why people have grievances, and I get why critics have grievances. But for me, it did everything I wanted it to do.
It just doesn't go beyond that.
It just doesn't go beyond that expectation. There's no wow factor here, right? It's just like you go in, you get the setup, and you go, okay, I kind of see what's going on, and then you get revealed throughout the movie.
Yeah. Well, I think for me,
Yeah.
I'm going to do 3.5.
Okay.
out of
That's
5.
fair.
And
I almost gave it a 3, but then I was like, it's more than a 3.
But I think it's less than a 4, so I'm going to go with a 3.5.
That's
And
fair.
This is what I should say right now. I think we should only do halves, so not like 3.2.
That makes sense. I
3,
assumed we weren't doing
3.5.
halves, so that's why I said 4.
I know, but do you want to update your thing to
I mean,
3.5?
I would also say 3.5.
Okay, so 3.5 for you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for me, it's also 3.5.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're establishing these rating systems as we
As we go, I didn't know we were going to do halves.
I think it's fair because
Yeah.
it's hard to do solids, and sometimes this is in between because a 3 for me is kind of a so-so movie. You know?
Yeah.
Not bad. It can be very good, but it's just like nothing to write home about.
Sure.
And I think this one it's pretty decent. It is, however, still not like a movie I'd talk about all the time,
No.
which to me is very indicative of 3. However, it does certain things very well. Like, while I didn't think it was very scary, at least on the first watch, it is very unsettling because this idea of like something as simple as water
Yeah.
infecting you
Oh,
is
yeah.
very horrifying. I make this comment to Bob right after we watched the film of, you want to go take a shower? Because, you know, it's that fear of water.
Yep.
And it does that unsettling aspect very well, at least the first time. I didn't feel that the second time. And maybe that affects my rating some. But also, like, I don't know, there's not a lot of fun stuff, like, in there.
No.
I like the format, although the documentary style done in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
well, better than I think a lot of found footage setups are,
Yeah.
and a lot of films like that, was not the best example of the genre I've ever seen.
That's fair.
That has to do with more how the story was set up with this being a government leak,
Mm-hmm.
which made it work, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as it could have been for that style.
That's fair.
And then also, like, I don't know, some of the character stories were done super well. Abrams, I thought, had a great character story.
The cops.
And the
The
cops,
two
the
two deputies. Oh my
had
god.
a great story.
So good.
Besides from that, I didn't feel too attached to the characters. And even those characters I didn't feel too attached to.
The family was the only one that I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, but that's just because they had a baby.
Yeah,
You know?
well, that's the thing is like you're supposed to feel. I think they're the emotional ones,
I
right?
get it, but I just felt kind of a disconnect
Yeah.
in a way.
And also, all the footage with Donna in it, you don't. Not that you don't care about it, but there's no risk because you know she survives.
However, it is interesting seeing how close she risked herself without
Yeah.
knowing it.
Yeah,
because
without being aware.
she's very much like a chicken with her head cut off.
Yeah.
And she kind of makes that comment. She runs away at one point. She's like, it's kind of humorous how stupid I'm acting
Yeah.
if this wasn't a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's better than just like I want to talk about the film sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think it's better than a 3. However, I don't think it did what it brought to the board perfectly. Like it
No,
it
not,
didn't
not at all.
perfectly accomplish what it set out to do,
But I think it
which would
met
have been a 4.
the expectations.
But it did more than meeting expectations.
Yeah.
Like, this is a film where I could watch it again. I did.
Yeah.
And it's a film we'll talk about sometimes. But
Yeah, I mean, if we ever get to other movies and we're talking about them, I'm sure we'll come back and compare them to this
But-
and talk about it.
it didn't like meet all the expectations this film could have met.
Yeah.
So I think 3 out of 5.
I really, it kind of blew me away that this ended up here and not in Parasites.
Yeah, but like I had already decided on my films for this category.
Yeah, I know.
And also just because, like I said, different subject matters. So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, the other films in this category, they're not about parasites in any way.
Yeah, I assume as much.
They're very different genres, but but yeah, 3 out of 5. I think we've kind of peeled around this. I think a 5 for me
Oh, okay.
is the film surpassed everything it should have done as a film.
Oh, yeah,
A 4 is it's accomplished perfectly what this film could do.
for sure.
And then 3 is kind of like it's a good movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it could have been better as a concept. Like
Sure.
it could have done everything better.
I think that's why, coming back to the movie most recently that came out, Terror Train, gave that a 3.
Yeah, because it's not horrible. Like it's not
a horrible
2.
movie.
Like 2 would just be bad.
And 1
Like,
is
not
like,
great.
I don't want to watch that.
1 is just bad.
1 is just straight up like, that was
But
garbage.
Not just like not enjoyable.
Yeah, like bad enough to where we're not even laughing. We're just sitting there slogging our way
And
through the movie.
I think 2 is kind of like it failed at the concept.
Yeah, but it has some cool stuff maybe.
3 is just kind of like it did some things well.
Yeah.
It didn't do other things well.
What I was going to say is that's why Terror Train got a 3, and that's why we're giving this one a 3.5. I like this movie more than Terror Train,
Yeah,
but it has problems
it has
that
problems.
I think could be solved if...
it did certain things differently.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's at the fault of the director or
the
anything,
writer
or the writer or anything.
It's just how it happened.
I just think that it comes down to, I think also, as we talk about the pre-movie, the fact that the director already had a lot of this footage and just went, okay, I'm going to repurpose this and make it a horror movie, helped but also hurt it.
I guess. I like to think of it from the perspective of not every film can be perfect, even from the get-go.
I mean, that's fair.
Like even if there's no issues with the film, not every film's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And so
I personally don't find that many issues with this film,
yeah.
but I see where other people could have them.
Yeah,
and that is why I can't rate it as high as I want.
So I don't think it did everything it could have perfectly with this genre and this setup. So 3 out of
Fair.
5.
I
I
do
think it would
think
be very hard for it to be a 4, even if it was redone some other way. I think it would have been hard to be a 4.
Yeah, I think the concept in and of itself
Does not lend itself to greatness.
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah, sure.
But thought it was really good.
I liked it.
That's why I threw it on here. But
Yeah, man.
I guess that's it. I don't
Yeah.
know what else to say.
I got nothing else, man.
I thought this was we'll go to the wrap up. But
Yeah, we'll hit the outtakes. I don't know how many we're gonna have in this movie. I didn't scream a lot.
yeah, he gagged really hard
At the
one
end.
point. There's a couple screams, but a lot of the times
some of this shit scared the fuck out of me.
I don't know if we'll be able to hear it in the audio, but Bob kind of just shut down and started hyperventilating. So we'll see if that was picked up because that was kind of
At one point, I think Ben looked over and I had my hands in the air and I was just waving them violently.
Yeah, well, at one point he leaned back and I was kind of looking at the mic. You can kind of see it, but he's huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But we'll cut to the outtakes.
Yeah, we'll see what
we
the outtakes have. There's probably a funny or two in there.
And then we'll do our close up in a second. So
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the outtakes for this episode of Beware the Board. I'm hoping you enjoyed our review of Bay so far. I got really, really freaked out by that movie. While I enjoyed it, I will probably never watch it ever again. Without further ado, let's get into the first outtake. This is my reaction to hearing the title that is given to the beauty pageant winner in this town.
Actually interviewing people.
I think it's every girl's dream to be Miss Crustacean.
I thought that's the funniest
Is that
part.
the episode title? It's
Miss
every girl's dream to be Miss Crustacean?
I think so.
Okay. This next outtake is our reaction to seeing the first person that is actually being affected by the parasite, who has lesions and boils and is covered in gross. I don't know what's going on, but it's freaking me out. Oh, God damn it. I knew that this was gonna... Ew. God, this is so gross.
I didn't want to let you in, but like we have the bucket.
This next clip is our reaction to seeing the marine biologists, oceanographers, take a bendy camera and stick it inside of a fish to see what's wrong with it. Turns out it's full of worms. Oh, come on, man. Don't cut to the...
It's a fish, Bob.
I don't care. I don't like... No, I don't like this shit, man. Yeah, I thought so. Oh, God. This next outtake is our reaction to seeing one of the isopods actually attack someone for the very first time. Oh! Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! No, Ben! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, this movie's just.
I'm gonna be honest. When I chose this movie, I kind of forgot how bad it was gonna be, and then once I chose it, I was like, oh yeah.
This truck's loose in the air.
I think it's Al Qaeda.
You tell this movie came out in 2012.
Oh yeah? Did you hear the person speaking? I hear a lot of information about flu shots and vaccines. Bob's still trying to calm down.
This next clip is my reaction to some footage that was sent to the hospital of fully grown isopods rolling around in a man's stomach, causing the flesh to warp and flex, and I was afraid they were going to burst out of him. Thank God they didn't. I know it's just a fish, but man, it's gross. And man, those things are freaky looking.
Isopods are cool. Those are what roly-polies are.
I know.
Okay.
I don't think roly-polies are scary. Ah! Ah! Do you? Hey! Hey! Ah! No! 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 Please stop! Please stop! Please stop! Please! 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 Don't show me! Don't show me anything! If you show,
It's okay, Bob. The video ended.
This next outtake comes to us from the deaths of the oceanographers. They're like munching on pretty sizable fish, honestly.
Yeah.
But if those are that big, I wonder how big they can get, because that's fucking scary. What is that?
That's a crab.
Ah! Oh my god! Oh, they're huge under there. See?
They're just that size. They're just swimming. Yeah, so that's fully grown, Bob. They're not gonna get bigger than that.
That's actually much worse, honestly. This next clip is my reaction to a jump scare as a body tumbles over the side of the roof and spills blood all over Donna. If we'd also seen what was going on in the house with those cops, I probably would have thrown up. Oh my fucking you bitch! You dead bitch! This next clip is my reaction to learning the fact that most of the corpses we've been seeing throughout the film are not actually corpses at all. These people have just lost the ability to move and are still alive, just slowly dying from being eaten from the inside out. Hey! No, it's a corpse. It's a dead guy. It's a dead man who's been getting munched on by isopods.
Look at his face. You have the same reaction as Donna.
Hey, whoa, he was alive still.
Yep.
Looking around and his foul face was eaten. That's really gross. This next outtake is my reaction to seeing one of the isopods burst out of Alex's neck. I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a gag warning on this one. No, please, no, please don't, no, no. Oh, it's just puke, thank God, it's just puke, that's okay, puke is fine, I'm okay with puke.
That's why I wanted the trash can.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
These aren't the outtakes, Bob. That's how you do the outtakes.
Yeah, I know, man.
All right. Well,
Welcome back.
I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. I'm not sure how many there were.
I know when that one climbed out of that fish on that man's hand, I fucking maxed out the mic.
Oh, yeah. You did it twice.
I maxed out the mic
Which
twice.
I think I make fun of you for, and I think we'll hear it. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good the outtakes were. The movie was fine. It was better than fine. It was
better than fine, but
good.
it wasn't amazing.
But it wasn't amazing. It's one of those films where you really do have to watch it. Like, it's hard to talk about.
Yeah. because it's
not
very
because it's meh, but just
no, not because it's
the
just really
content.
the way that it is shot is very jumpy, and it's very hard to go from scene to scene because there's no clear path.
I was thinking about this. The way I feel about it is the way
Yeah.
I feel about most documentaries. Like, even if I enjoy them, I'm just kind of like, oh, that was fun. Let's never watch that again.
Yep, there it is.
But yeah, I guess we only have one closing announcement.
One closing announcement.
And I think I want to open this with a separate topic of
Yeah.
the other day, so Friday.
Oh yeah, are you gonna bring up what we were doing?
Yeah.
at work.
I was looking
Instead
through
of working, we were doing
a yearly
this.
calendar, and I was looking at, like what holidays were coming up.
Yeah.
And I was discussing it with Bob, and I think it'd be very fun to do the year of holidays.
Yeah, we're gonna try and hit as many holidays as possible this year with movies.
And I don't know how hard we'll start on this as the year goes on, because we're still in the heavy working season for us.
Yeah, hopefully it ends soon.
Once it starts to dwindle away, we'll start to pick more obscure holidays. But right now, I think we're just gonna stick with the kind of the big ones for America,
Yeah, the big American
like
holidays.
the federal ones.
Yeah.
And that means we're gonna be releasing probably a good amount of extra movies this year,
Oh yeah,
besides board ones, and besides just our separate extra series, which
that we
we
have
haven't
yet to
started
record,
recording yet.
but I'm so excited to
But we
record
have
some
them
of that.
planned because I think it's a fine time to mention it. That's how we're going to cover the rest of certain series.
Yeah, like we're
Halloween.
not gonna sit here and do 9 fucking weeks of Halloween.
Well, also because it'd be hard to work them onto boards.
Yeah.
So
we're just gonna eventually find the time to watch all those movies, batch record the episodes, and then
release
put them
over
out in one
the
go.
month of Halloween or whatever.
Yeah, whenever we decide we finally have enough of
Not
them done.
actual Halloween as in the holiday, but
Yeah.
the month that we devote to it. But yeah, I think making this, at least for our first official year of recording,
Yeah.
we're going to make it kind of like the month of Halloween. Or not the month of Halloween, the year of holidays.
Yeah.
So
I think-
that's a fun year theme. So we'll see how many holiday movies we can release.
I think we've talked about Arbor Day as a funny
Yeah.
one.
Just because we've joked about it, so I think it's a fun inside joke. But also because, there's not really any Arbor Day horror films.
Yeah.
I did find one.
Yeah, you did find one.
Can't find anything for it. I only saw it because apparently someone tried to do a restoration of it, and the funding for it failed.
Oh, that sucks.
But I think for Arbor Day we'll do just a tree-related horror movie, which
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
They're sort of related to folk horror, which is always it's
Something
my
else
favorite.
you want to fucking talk?
I love it.
Hey.
It's my favorite subgenre.
Yeah,
But
I know.
yeah, I bring all this up both as a forewarning, kind of an announcement.
Yeah, be prepared if there's
Of-
just random ass
for
episodes
yeah,
coming
for
out.
random holidays that maybe people don't care about. But we do have a holiday coming up, which
Yeah,
is
we do.
actually a decently big one.
Yeah,
It's
like
a-
we get off school and everything for this holiday.
Yeah,
Not work. Darn.
I need money, but
Yeah.
I don't like working. But yeah, this holiday coming up is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah.
Like his birthday.
Is it his
And
birthday?
It's his. Yeah, it's Martin King Luther Jr.'s. It sounds weird every time I say it, but it's his birthday.
Okay.
However, it's not on his birthday.
Oh, okay.
So it's, unless I'm wrong, I just checked my calendar on Google, whatever. It says the holiday is on the 16th.
Yep.
I believe his birthday is actually on January 15th.
Ah,
so
I
that might
see.
be because it's a federal holiday and they're closing.
Oh, that makes
schools on
sense.
Monday.
School's on Monday.
I don't
okay.
know. I think it's the 16th. We'll double check before we actually release an episode.
Oh yeah, that's why start time on Monday is so late. Is because it's a holiday.
Oh.
Are we getting holiday pay?
Yes, we are.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we go in to work at 11:05 p.m.
Yeah, which is not normal.
It was supposed to be 11:50, so I'm glad we're getting some extra time. But we're gonna release our first kind of holiday movie for the year. Well,
Yeah.
technically our second holiday
Second
movie
one,
for the
'cause-
year. New Year's is kind of a little bit of both 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, I think I labeled the
Um,
episode as New Year's 2022
which is fair
because it's New
It
Year's
is.
Eve of 2022.
Oh, which by the way, first episode of 2023.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
But yeah, we're gonna release a movie on.
You know what's
Martin
whack?
Luther King
It is the first day
birthday.
of 2023, and we're recording the first episode.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. We didn't even plan this. It was
Yeah.
kind of a, you were like, I'll text you today, and if I'm up, and we'll record something maybe.
Oh yeah. Huh. Well,
Yeah.
for anyone who didn't know right now, it's January 1st.
Yeah,
So
we're recording this right on New Year's Day.
it's a good way to start the year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what we'll be doing.
Yeah, so do you want to explain what movie we're watching for that and why we're watching it?
No, but I'll explain what I'm choosing.
Sure. Okay.
Because we're going to leave it to be a surprise.
Yeah, I know what we're watching.
And you're going to do the whole Twitter reveal thing.
Oh, yeah,
that you were
that'll come out
planning
on Monday.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to choose for Martin Luther King's Day. I think this is the holiday we'll probably have a movie for every year.
Probably. There's tons
if
of
we're
movies.
doing this in a year.
Yeah.
But I want to do a film that is either like African American actors or
Mhm.
directors. Basically, something that is, centered on
Yeah,
African Americans.
either an African American person made it, produced it, like it was something they worked on a ton, or it's a story about.
Or there's a focus on like
Yeah.
some aspect of inequality or something like that. Just because I think there's a bunch of films like that.
Oh yeah,
They don't
isn't
always
Candyman
Yeah,
like
Candyman.
based? Yeah,
but there's a lot of films like that, and they don't always get historically good recognition. We are now in an age where they're getting a lot more.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Peele's one of the biggest horror
Mhm.
directors right now, and obviously he's a part of that. So
yeah, especially with the new Candyman, right?
he did the remake, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what this holiday will be for. So
Yeah, watching cool stuff.
I think the term there's a whole Shudder series on it.
Oh really?
On that kind of topic. It's called film noir.
Oh.
Which is such a cool name.
That is a good name. That's clever. I like it.
But that's kind of what we'll be doing and covering. So we'll have a movie for that holiday.
Yep.
That's the only announcement I really got. So
Yeah, no other announcements. I
You
mean,
wanna-
since it's the new year, we don't really have anything freaking going on at the moment.
we're gonna be back on to board schedule. So that
Yeah,
means
back on it.
next Friday.
Every Friday, baby.
We'll
new
have
episode
another
of the board.
episode, not just a wrap up like we did
Last
week.
Friday, which
Or I guess because we're recording these,
We keep
surprise
having to
guys,
record
we
stuff
just
ahead of
spoiled
time.
that we're recording this a week in advance. So But
it
last
happens.
episode was the wrap up for the last board. So from now on, we're doing actual movie reviews.
Yeah.
For the next 9 weeks, but
Oh God. Then we get a new one.
or next 8 weeks technically. But yeah, so I guess you want to shell our stuff.
Yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. If you have any recommendations for the random category on the board, leave them in the comments. We will take them and we will
Yeah.
use them. We have a new way of determining the random category on the board. So just
What-
keep throwing them out there.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now?
No.
No. Okay.
I think we'll leave it for
Oh, yeah.
later.
But if you have suggestions for the random category, start putting those out.
Put them in the comments. Or if
YouTube,
you're listening to this, text
or
me.
Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter. For the love of God, it's where I post everything.
Yeah.
If you want to know about this podcast and you are like, I wonder when the new episode's coming out, go to our Twitter.
Yeah.
I tweet a link to every episode as soon as it goes live.
Eventually, we'll run stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that eventually, but I haven't done it yet, so
Yeah.
probably on me.
Uh,
The other thing, if you're listening to this on Spotify, we are not on Spotify yet. Still,
no.
Bob's looking at me. I'm really smiling because I think it's very funny.
Listen, man.
Eventually, we'll get art. Obviously, we could have chosen random art, but we're waiting for our actual official art to be done.
Yeah. He's working on it.
He's working on it. It's a running joke at this point.
It's basically a running gag,
But-
even between me and him. Because every time I ask him, I go, "Are you finished?" That he goes, nah.
He's restarted a couple times because I feel bad because he's really trying.
Yeah, he basically has been like, I'm trying to make this as good as possible, and I've hated every design
And
I've come up with.
It's not turning out as good as he wants because it's hard because we're doing it's not like a nice piece of artwork because he does actual art.
Oh yeah,
But this is more like
a logo
stock
or a
logo,
design. Yeah,
which is a lot harder and different than what he does. But
yeah.
we'll be on Spotify at some point. If you're listening on Spotify right now,
Thank you.
hi, thank you. Most of you probably aren't, but
Most of you
eventually
are on YouTube.
This will be on Spotify. We'll have all the backlog up on there. So
Yeah, not only Spotify, it'll be on. If you use Apple Podcasts, it'll be on there. Anchor FM, wherever you get your podcast, this will be
that'll
there.
all be up at the same time. So we'll let you know on something, YouTube, Twitter, when that happens.
Yep, I'll let you all know via Twitter probably.
But I think that's all we got for today.
yeah,
We'll see you
I think that's it.
Monday, I guess, for our next movie because that's Martin Luther King Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, weird because we're recording this in advance. Like, what's coming out on Monday? My brain didn't comprehend what was happening.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you're-
holiday we were talking about on Monday isn't Martin Luther King Day, Bob. That's our 4th of July pay.
4th of July.
Or our New Year's pay.
Really?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you later. You seem very confused.
Yeah, whatever. I
All right.
don't care.
But yeah, we'll see you Monday for our 4th of July movie. That'll be a surprise. But
You said 4th of July again, by the way.
Jesus Christ. Our New Year's movie. No, God damn it.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah, our film
MLK
noir
Day.
movie.
Yeah.
We'll do on Monday. So we'll see you then. And then Friday will be a normal board.
Friday
episode.
will be a normal red
So,
episode.
have
I
a nice
guess
week.
We'll
Have
see
fun.
you next time.
Don't be too scared.
Don't be
Bye.
too scared. And remember, always beware the board.